Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. I'm a Saiyan and you're saying that I don't have any bloodline limits. Chapter 41. Master Third Hokage, why are you still standing there? Hurry up and capture these two traitors, Jiraiya and Mark. The existence of the two of them has a great impact on the stability of Konoha. They must not be left here. Mitoman Yan and Kaharu moved to the dormitory. Seeing that Third Hokage and the others were reluctant to take action, they hurriedly urged. When speaking, their mouths, which were swollen like sausages, collided rapidly, trying their best to speak louder to express the urgency of the matter. Hurry up, if we let them escape, the consequences will be disastrous. Mito Menion's anxious voice sounded in everyone's ears again. Can I say something? Nara raised his right hand tremblingly, paused, and asked. Lord Mito Monin, please move to another bed. Kaharu-sama, are you two out of your mind? Or are you insane? As soon as these words came out, Mito Kato and Kaharu were furious. In just half a second, their sharp eyes looked at Nara Shikaku no less than 10 times. If looks could kill, he would have been cut into pieces long ago. Nara Shikaku, are you still a human being? How long has it been and you're still poking our spines? I know you were already dissatisfied when your power was divided between me and Kaharu, but there are still occasions. Now is the moment when Konoha's life and death are related, and yet you are still making fun of those little things. Mito Kadoyan was furious. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He felt a sweetness in his throat and vomited a mouthful of old blood. If their limbs hadn't been broken by Yi Fan, they would have slapped Nara Luju in the face by now. Hearing this, Nara Shikaku approached the two of them with an innocent face, put his hand on his forehead and touched it, and said thoughtfully, you don't even have a fever, why is your brain so damaged? Medical class, come in quickly and take the two adults out and take a good look at their brains. If this continues, the problem of brain disease may become more and more serious. When the spokesperson of the Fire Nation heard this, he immediately understood what Nara Shikaku meant, and he quickly called out to the medical team. Yi Fan's strength is obvious to all, and he may be one of the best in the entire Konoha. The reason why Nara Shikaku chose to do this was to quickly remove Mito Menion and transfer Kaharu to prevent them from continuing to offend Yi Fan. Not to mention that judging from the various performances of Mark and Jiraiya, it is impossible for them to be traitors. Even if the two of them really have any dangerous thoughts about Konoha, they can't tell them directly in front of them. If you offend Yi Fan too much, you might make the false things come true. If it really comes to that point, it won't end so well. Yi Fan's strength is not something that ordinary people can compete with. People of this level, no matter who they stand against, are a devastating disaster. Nara Shikaku, I think you are the one with the brain problem. I'm talking about business with you now, and I don't have time to quarrel with you. Mito Kadoyan shouted angrily. His face was covered with black lines, and his chest hurt with anger. Third Hokage-sama, don't hesitate any longer and quickly order to capture Yi Fan and Jiraiya. Master Second Hokage is right, the Uchiha are an inherently evil race. As long as they are around, there will never be peace. Medical class, haven't the medical classes come yet? Mitomanitis-sama's symptoms are getting more and more serious. If not treated in time, your brain may never recover. Come here, take away Mitomano and Kaharu, and take a good look at their brains. The spokesperson of the Fire Nation saw the people from the medical team appearing and quickly explained to them. The three little girls in the medical class, who were also upright, went up to hold Mito Menion down without saying a word, and moved to Kaharu, making a show of taking them away. Moreover, the more Mitomanitis and Kaharu struggled, the more they felt that something was wrong with their brains, and the more they worried about it. Third Hokage-sama, please rest assured, we will definitely cure the brains of Mitoman-sama and Kaharu-sama. I'm not mentally ill, there's nothing wrong with me. The one with the problem is Nara Shikaku. Let me go quickly. Mito Menion and transferred to sleeping Kaharu's eyes were red and he screamed heartbreakingly. Have the brain problems of these two adults become this serious? Judging from the current situation, the two adults are completely unconscious and must receive treatment immediately. The girl in the medical class frowned and analyzed carefully based on years of accumulated experience. Mito Monitis and Kaharu, who were transferred to the dormitory, looked at the medical team who was about to take them away, and felt what despair meant, and what it meant that they couldn't explain it even if they were covered in mouths. Third Hokage didn't say a word from beginning to end, and Yifan leaned on the windowsill and quietly watched the farce here. What Nara Shikaku meant, they both knew very well. Watching Mito Menyon and Kaharu transfer to bed, being forcibly pressed on a stretcher and about to be taken away, Yifan, who had been watching the show, spoke. "Three beautiful sisters, stop for now. Although they are crazy, they can't leave now." After hearing this, the people in the medical class said seriously, adhering to the principle of saving lives and healing the wounded. Mitomen-sama and Kaharu-sama's situation is very serious and they must receive professional treatment immediately. There is no time to waste. Three beautiful sisters, they can't leave yet. Yifan's tone was calm, but he revealed an irresistible momentum. Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Country had an ominous premonition in their hearts when they heard this. They suddenly became nervous, and cold sweat soaked their backs unconsciously. The people in the medical class had never felt this kind of momentum before. They didn't know how to solve it for a while, so they turned to the third Hokage, who had been silent all this time, for help. When the third Hokage saw that Yifan would not let them go, they immediately knew that there would definitely be something waiting for Mito Menyon and Kaharu to move to another bed. After pondering for a moment, he let out a long sigh and said, "Let the medical team leave first. Let them stay here for the time being." Although the third Hokage didn't know what else happened to Yifan, he understood that what happened next was definitely not a good thing for Mito Gateyan and Kaharu, who moved to another bed. Seeing that the third Hokage spoke in person, the medical team had no choice but to leave the Hokage room. Mito Monotus and transferring sleeping Kaharu looked at the back of the medical team leaving and let out a long sigh of relief. "I was almost taken away as a mentally ill person. Master Third Hokage, hurry up and capture the traitor Yifan." Mito Menyon, who did not face being dragged away, felt energetic again. Snapped. As soon as he finished speaking, a big dick stuck to his face. The sudden big dick made Mito Menyon dizzy and his head was full of stars. "Is it over yet? How come you, old guy, are like Brother Kunkin's little black boy, and there is no end to it? Chicken, you are so beautiful." "No. Lord Third Hokage, let's continue the questions we left unfinished last time." Yifan slowly sat on the chair, and the breath on his body suddenly became cold. This time, he wanted to ask about Naruto. Why did Naruto have such a miserable childhood after becoming a hero? Yifan sat on the chair and looked at Third Hokage. His temperament changed drastically in an instant. His face was covered with frost, and he was completely different from before. Naraluju and others looked at Mark's appearance, their hearts sank suddenly, and they realized that things were not simple. They all had the same hunch. The question Yifan was going to ask next was definitely breaking news, and it was likely to change the current situation of Konoha. The spokesperson of the Fire Nation was also extremely nervous. What happens next may very well be related to the future of Konoha and the future of the Fire Nation. The third Hokage, who has been in the ninja world for decades, experienced several wars, and witnessed countless bloody storms, could not help but become nervous at this moment. Facing the young man in front of him, it seemed that he was in the middle of a great war in the ninja world, making his nerves tense. The atmosphere in the entire Hokage room, with Yifan's words, completely fell into freezing point and became extremely tense. Although Yifan was only a boy of 13 or 14 years old, no one present dared to look down upon him. This is also the first time in history that they have treated a young man so seriously. Jiraiya stood aside, with thousands of thoughts in his mind. Now that the matter about Yifan's parents has come to an end, he really can't imagine what questions Yifan still has to ask. Regarding the destruction of the Uchiha clan. It can't be this. Jiraiya discovered a problem a long time ago. Mark has no sense of belonging to the Uchiha clan at all. All these years, Yifan has only cared about his parents who are Uchiha people, not the Uchiha race at all. I thought about many possibilities, but they were all rejected by Jiraiya. Since he couldn't guess it, he just stopped guessing and just waited quietly for the next question. Who is Naruto Uzumaki? What is his identity? Yifan looked directly at Third Hokage, his eyes full of anger. The people present were a little confused when they heard this, and they were a little confused for a moment. Why did Yi Fan ask this question? This question seemed to have no direct connection with him. The third Hokage was also stunned for a moment, then thought for a while and replied, Naruto Uzumaki is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki in the village, and he is also a descendant of heroes. As Konoha senior officials, they were very aware of this matter, so they did not refute third Hokage's words. But this sentence does not sound the same to Mitomen Yan and Kaharu. Combining the fact that Yi Fan asked them to stay and the questions asked at this time, the two of them had vaguely guessed what Yi Fan wanted to do. For a moment, fear enveloped their hearts and filled every inch of their skin. Mito Kaden and Kaharu looked at each other and knew that nothing good would happen if they continued to stay here. By now, they can finally see that third Hokage seems to be particularly partial to Mark and will not turn towards them at all. In the blink of an eye, the two quickly decided on one thing: get out of here. Ouch, ouch. The two voices sounded almost at the same time. It hurts so much. My chest feels so tight and my head hurts so much. Master Third Hokage, please quickly call the medical team to take us for treatment. We feel like we are going to die. The sudden and untimely sound attracted everyone's attention. Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation looked confused and had no idea what they wanted to do. Obviously, he was so resistant to being taken away by the medical team just now, but now he is actively asking to be taken away by the medical team. Nara frowned slightly and murmured, is there really something wrong with their brains? The spokesperson of the Fire Country nodded. It seems, that is indeed the case. The third Hokage looked at Mito Kadoyan's reaction and immediately understood. He finally realized why Mark asked this question that seemed to have nothing to do with him. When Jiraiya heard this, his expression did not change at all, and he probably guessed what Mark would do next. When Yi Fan lived with him in the past, he would often mention Naruto as a friend in front of him. Thinking about it, the next step is to seek justice for all the unfair treatment Naruto has received. Looking at Mito Menyon and Kaharu who were transferred to the dormitory, begging to be taken away by the medical team, Yi Fan smiled disdainfully, knowing that the two of them had thought of something. Go. Where to go? Yi Fan glared at them both. Facing the cold gaze, Mitomen Yan and Kaharu suddenly felt a sense of fear and begged harder. After living for so many years, this is the first time they want to escape from the Hokage room, escape from this place that allows them to control the entire Konoha. Two adults, please stop talking for now and stay here for now. Third Hokage was worried that if the two of them continued to talk like this, they would be beaten a few more times by Mark. After all, if Yi Fan attacks them again, he, the Hokage, will not be able to help. He can only watch them being beaten in vain. As the third Hokage spoke, Mitomen and Kaharu were completely in despair. They already knew the third Hokage's decision. Looking at Yi Fan, he became more and more frightened. The dirty things I had done came to mind one by one. The two of them could hear the conversation between Orochimaru and Yi Fan clearly. Danzo Shimura was forced to die because of the rumors. But now that the fire has burned on himself, it is obvious what the outcome will be. The most important thing is that they have no way out now. They are like fish on the chopping board, ready to be slaughtered by others. Third Hokage-sama, you must save our lives, we are Konoha's senior advisors. For so many years, even if there is no credit, there is still hard work. Third Hokage-sama, you must save us. Mito Mano and Kaharu, whose faces were full of panic, were already in disarray. The third Hokage frowned when he heard this. Yi Fan just asked where he was, and he explained everything himself. Yi Fan looked at their performance and determined that they had a lot to do with Naruto's childhood. In fact, the reason why Naruto's childhood was so miserable was because of the two of them. Otherwise, he was just asking the first question about Naruto, and the two of them shouldn't have such a big reaction. Glancing at the two Konoha senior advisors who were frightened into confusion, Yi Fan sneered. After all, they are both the bosses of Konoha's highest authority, but they also have such a cowardly side. Haha, is it because you are afraid of death? I will let you experience something more terrifying than death. The corners of Yi Fan's mouth raised, revealing a playful smile. In his mind, he had already thought of ways to sanction these two senior advisors of Konoha. Third Hokage, you said that Naruto is a descendant of heroes. Where did you start with this? Since you said he is the descendant of a hero, why did he have such a miserable childhood? Yi Fan ignored Mito Menyon and Koharu for the time being, but continued to ask his own questions. At this point, Yi Fan still wanted to get some answers personally. He also wanted to take this opportunity to blow up the third Hokage and see if his heart was completely dark or if he still had a trace of conscience. Listening to Yi Fan's question, third Hokage's face darkened slightly. He knew that paper could not cover the fire after all, and some things could not be hidden after all. Moreover, judging from Yi Fan's previous understanding of Danzo, the reason why he can ask this question now must be that he has grasped the truth of some things. The third Hokage sighed and said, Uzumaki Naruto, he is the son of the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato. Namikaze Minato died for sealing 9 tails, so I say Naruto is a descendant of heroes. Quote. In his words, he revealed his guilt towards the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato. When Jiraiya heard this name, his heart tightened uncontrollably. The disciple he once loved most has been dead for many years without knowing it. Even though a long time had passed, he still remembered Yongdame's smile. Yongdame's smile was so gentle and so full of spring. The days when I walked with Namikaze Minato gradually came to mind, and the sunny boy who always had a bright smile on his face appeared in my mind and couldn't get rid of it. Jiraiya is looking forward to Yi Fan's next question more and more. The question Yi Fan will ask next is also the question he has always wanted to ask. Haha, descendants of heroes, what a ridiculous 5 words. Sarutobi Hiruzen, let me ask you. The descendants of heroes deserve to drink expired milk. Do the descendants of heroes deserve to have been eating instant noodles without any nutrition since childhood? It takes a few months to have a meal of Ichiraku ramen to improve their food. Do the descendants of heroes deserve to be looked down upon by everyone in the village and live in vicious rumors? The descendants of heroes deserve to be discriminated against by everyone. The more Yi Fan talked, the angrier he became. When it came to the last question, he almost yelled out. The 3 questions in succession were so heartbreaking that third Hokage remained silent and gradually lowered his head. Others present did not dare to look directly at Yi Fan at this time and kept dodging. Jiraiya had a complicated look on his face and sighed, constantly condemning himself in his heart. Asking himself why he didn't deal with these problems well after Naga took his sister away, which led to Naruto having an extremely miserable childhood. Speak, or you mute. Yi Fan stepped on the ground, and the entire Hokage building shook, and spider web-like cracks continued to crack. Third Hokage was silent for a long time and sighed. These things were indeed caused by my mistakes. If I had handled this series of things well, so many tragedies would not have happened. I, Sarutobi Hiruzen, apologize for the mistakes I made. I know that apologizing won't solve anything, but it's good if you know. Yi Fan interrupted third Hokage directly. He didn't want to hear any explanation. Wrong is wrong. Wrong, no matter how you try to remedy it, it cannot soothe the hurt person's heart. Besides, Naruto was just a child back then. At the beginning, he was a child who didn't understand anything. He also wanted to know why he was hated by so many people. He also wanted to be like a normal person without being discriminated against. Sarutobi Hiruzen, let me ask you again. Did the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato lure it outside the village when Nine Tails was rioting? When the fourth Hokage sealed Nine Tails on Naruto, only you and a few of your guards knew about it, right? But why is this matter so common knowledge? Everyone only knows that Naruto has a monster sealed in his body, but they don't know that he is a descendant of a hero. Fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato, for the stability of Konoha village and the safety of all the people in the village, he paid the price of death without hesitation. Why would his biological son be treated so unfairly? Even if we don't talk about Naruto being discriminated against, his life shouldn't be so miserable, right? It stands to reason that the fourth Hokage has performed so many missions and received so many mission bounties. How can this money be enough for Naruto to have enough food and clothing to live until he is 18 years old? But you don't know what Naruto's life was like growing up, right? Today, I want you to give me an explanation. I want to know the truth of everything. Otherwise, Yi Fan stood up slowly, his body filled with cold murderous aura, filling every corner of the Hokage room and pressing on everyone's heart. Feeling this bone-chilling murderous aura, Mito Menyon and Koharu moved to bed, with despair written all over their faces, and their whole bodies were trembling. They have almost foreseen their own ending. Feeling this level of killing intent, they understood that they would not be able to survive today no matter what. Sarutobi Hiruzen, you'd better not have any thoughts of deceiving me. You can't bear the consequences of deceiving me. Yi Fan's eyes turned cold, and his aura was unparalleled, oppressing everyone present except Jiraiya. Under the oppression of this terrifying momentum, they felt that it was so difficult to even breathe. At this moment, they truly realized how powerful Yi Fan was. They dare not say anything else. What they are sure of is that if Yi Fan wants to take their lives, he can do so without even using his hands. Faced with the terrifying aura exuding from Yi Fan, they could vaguely imagine how desperate and fearful Danzo felt when facing Yi Fan. Jiraiya looked at Mark, then turned to look at Third Hokage, sighed and turned around to look into the distance. The blue sky was cloudless, but his heart was filled with haze. What Yi Fan is interrogating is his mentor, for the son of his beloved disciple. On one side was his master, and on the other was the son of his beloved disciple. As a man who had seen countless things, he didn't know what to do at this time. This time, he stood on the foggy road and lost his way. Sarutobi Hiruzen, give me an explanation. All the grievances Naruto has suffered, I, Yi Fan, will get them back for him today. The third Hokage still lowered his head and said nothing, like a twilight old man, swaying in the wind. All the things I have done in the past are replayed in my mind like a movie rewinding. Now, he felt unprecedented frustration. Over the years, he has done too many wrong things, too many irreparable mistakes. Yi Fan's resolute attitude made him, who had been a Hokage for decades, feel extremely heavy pressure. He knew that this time, he could not take responsibility for others. If he said the wrong thing, it would probably bring unbearable serious consequences. The third Hokage, who had been silent for a long time, glanced at Mito Kabuto and Koharu, and spoke. The reason why Uzumaki Naruto had such a miserable childhood is all my fault as the Hokage. I failed to protect him. Yi Fan, you were right. At that time, 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato used the Flying Thunder God technique to move the rioting Nine Tails to a place far away from the village. By the time we get to the place, Minato has already set up barriers that we can't enter, and is preparing to seal Nine Tails into Naruto's body. And no one knows all this except me and a few of my guards. At that time, I had actually warned several of them very clearly, asking them to keep this secret no matter what. But, after that night, something unexpected happened to me. The fact that the Nine Tails demon fox exists in Naruto's body spread throughout the entire village in a very short period of time. Moreover, the news that has been spread out is still out of context. It only says that Naruto is a demon fox and does not mention that he is the descendant of a hero. At that time, by the time I found out about it, things had spiraled out of control. The third Hokage's face was pale and weak, and his tone was filled with guilt. Yi Fan glanced at him, ignoring any of his expressions, and said, in other words, this news was spread by your guards. Moreover, in just one night, it can cause uproar in the city and make everyone aware of it. I'm afraid they alone can't achieve this level, right? As you said, it is indeed true. The reason why this news spread so quickly was because of the Mito Gate inflammation and the transfer of sleep to Koharu. Thinking of this matter, third Hokage's eyes dimmed a lot. Later, after investigation, I found out that in fact, all of my guards were bribed by Mito Kadoyan and the others. When Koharu heard this, his whole body trembled, and he fell limply to the ground. They knew that they would not survive. When Nara Shikaku and the others heard this, they couldn't help but look at Mito Kadoyan and the others. The questions that had been buried in their hearts for many years finally came to light today. All this time, they had never been able to figure out why the fact that Naruto was a Nine Tails Jinchuriki suddenly became known to everyone overnight. Now it seems that they are the only two senior advisors of Konoha who have this ability. Before, they had always believed that people from the Uchiha clan knew about this incident through some method and deliberately spread it. When Jiraiya heard this, there was a hint of cruelty in his eyes. He originally looked down on these two old guys, but now that he knew about it, he couldn't control his anger. Haha, Lord Third Hokage, do you mean that it has nothing to do with you? Yi Fan sneered and said. There are too many loopholes in your answer. If the secret was really exposed by Mito Manabu and Kaharu, then why were these two old guys not punished? Both of them have bribed your guards, how can you still tolerate them staying at the top of Konoha? This matter, at the most minor level, is to monitor you, but at the most serious level, it is to seek power and usurp the throne. After saying this, Yi Fan's cold gaze fell on Third Hokage like a sharp blade. Alas, Third Hokage sighed, laughed at himself, and said helplessly, I'm not afraid of making fun of you. At that time, I only had the name of Hokage in name. In fact, my power has long been eclipsed by the two of them, together with Shimura Danzo. At that time, after I knew the truth, I originally planned to deal with them immediately, but the decision to deal with the top management of Konoha must be made through a meeting. When I held the meeting, the top management of Konoha at that time were almost completely controlled by them and Danzo. This situation was only relieved after I supported Nara Shikaku to come to power and change the spokesperson of the Fire Nation. Later I thought about it, they probably planned to evade the power of the fourth Hokage and control Konoha privately. Listening to this, Yi Fan glanced at Mito Menyon and Kaharu who had transferred to the dormitory, and said sarcastically, you and that old guy Danzo have made a good plan. The plan is to secretly control Konoha by ousting the old members of the third Hokage and the subordinates of the fourth Hokage. Immediately, Yi Fan changed the subject and asked, since the situation was so serious at that time, why did they let you be the Hokage of Konoha again? It stands to reason that since they have already reached that point, it is impossible for you to return to the position of Hokage. The third Hokage heard this and smiled bitterly, perhaps they feel that the time is not yet ripe. Or maybe it's because they and Danzo were fighting endlessly for the position of Hokage, and in the end they had no choice but to let me continue to be the puppet Hokage. After listening to Third Hokage's explanation, Yi Fan felt that he could barely explain it. But when Nara Shikaku and the Fire Country spokesperson heard these words, their feelings were completely different. The two of them now finally know why the third Hokage was so anxious and pushed them to the top without sparing any effort. After Jiraiya heard this, he became even more furious. He smashed the windowsill with his fist and shouted, Third Hokage-sama, when such a big thing happened in Konoha, why didn't you tell me? Jiraiya frowned, clenched his fists tightly, and his murderous eyes fell on Mito Kaden and Kaharu. He only found out about this matter today. He has always believed that although there are some small frictions within Konoha, they are all under the control of the third Hokage. I never thought that the seriousness of the matter would reach this level. The third Hokage sighed and said helplessly, Jiraiya, I didn't want to get you involved in this matter at the beginning. I know that if you knew about this matter, you would definitely make a big fuss. If a quarrel really breaks out, not only will your life be in danger, but Konoha may also fall into the flames of war. In that case, all the peace that our ancestors fought so hard for will be in vain. When Yi Fan heard this, his face suddenly sank, and his face was covered with black lines. The word peace almost makes my ears sound calloused today. Now when he heard third Hokage mention these two words again, Yi Fan couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, peace, peace, everything is for peace, everything is for peace. Is the word peace just used by you to cover up your incompetence? Can true peace be earned through compromise? Is what you call peace really peace? Are you sure you are not deceiving yourself? If you fall behind, you will be beaten. In Yi Fan's previous life, as a good young man who had received 9 years of compulsory education, this truth was very clear. Blind tolerance and compromise will not bring about real peace at all, but will only bring about the enemy's unscrupulousness. Hit with one punch to avoid hundreds of punches coming. Only when you are strong can you be fearless of any conspiracy and can you achieve true peace. Several questions that Yi Fan roared in anger fell into the hearts of everyone present. Listening to those few words, they silently lowered their noble heads. They understand in their hearts that their words are rough and their reasoning is not rough. Third Hokage thought about Yi Fan's words, thinking of the plans he had implemented over the years, and wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. He claims to govern the village with kindness, but in fact, as Yi Fan said, he is deceiving himself. Over the years, Konoha has been treated unfairly in secret more than once, but he chose not to pursue it any further. And the more you do this, the more you encourage the enemy's arrogance. The attitude of other ninja villages towards Konoha is the same, and the attitude of Konoha high-level officials Danzo and others towards him is the same. Seeing third Hokage lowering his head with a guilty look on his face, Yi-Fan no longer wanted to ask any more questions. The more you ask, the angrier it will make him. Originally, he wanted to ask why he didn't tell everyone the truth at that time. Naruto was not actually the instigator of the Nine Tails riots. He was actually a descendant of heroes. However, Yi-Fan felt that there was no need to ask any more. He has foreseen the answer of the third Hokage because he was threatened, for the sake of the overall situation, and to prevent Konoha from entering a turbulent situation. Yi-Fan urinates as soon as he hears these answers. The third Hokage's method of governing Konoha over the years seems to be benevolent governance. But in Yi-Fan's opinion, it's just because he has weakness and indecisiveness hidden in his bones. If third Hokage had been tougher at the beginning, it would have been impossible for the situation to become so passive. The so-called, for peace, became his reason to comfort himself. Moreover, judging from the fact that at the beginning, third Hokage wanted to take all the responsibilities on itself. In these years, he also used the hands of Danzo and others to do many shady things. Otherwise, it is absolutely impossible for him to do this. Third Hokage, regarding Naruto, although on the surface it seems that you don't have much responsibility, in fact most of the reasons lie with you. If you could manage your subordinates well, this series of things wouldn't have happened. As for what shady things you did later by using Danzo and others, I don't want to care about it, and I can't care about it. But, you must pay the price now for what happened to Uzumaki Naruto. As for what to do, I'll give you time to think about it. If it weren't for the fact that you are Jiraiya's master, I would have killed you long ago. Yi-Fan snorted coldly and slowly walked towards Mito Menyon and Kaharu. Dong dong dong. When the shoes came into contact with the floor, the sound they made was like the arrival of a seductress, ringing heavily in their hearts. Mito Menyon and Kaharu moved to bed, looking at Mark who was getting closer to him, sweating profusely, and his whole body was shrouded in fear. Ha! 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 These two senior advisors of Konoha, who were usually aloof and respected by everyone, were now like lost dogs, panting heavily. Don't come over here. Yi-Fan, stop quickly, don't come over. Please don't kill us, we already know we were wrong. Yi-Fan, please let us go. As long as you let us go, we promise to do our best to support you in becoming Hokage. Yi-Fan, let us go, we will go and apologize to Naruto immediately. Mito Mano and Kaharu, whose limbs were shattered, were slowly retreating using some unknown method. Their eyes were filled with endless fear. Listening to the footsteps that sounded like the bells of death, Mitoman and Kaharu almost collapsed completely and began to talk nonsense. Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Country of Fire, looked at Mito Kato and Kaharu who were sleeping in such an embarrassing state, and felt a sigh of relief. In the past, they never imagined that these two people with extremely noble status in Konoha village and even the Country of Fire would have such a day. Jiraiya held his hands and stared at them both, with no intention of stopping Mark. In his opinion, Mito Manabu and Kaharu have done countless things to threaten the stability of Konoha over the years. Death is not a pity. Mito Minyan and transferring Kaharu kept retreating until he hit the wall and was unable to retreat. Yi-Fan slowly squatted in front of the two of them and looked at them with a smile. The smile on Yi-Fan's face, to both of them, was simply a devil's smile. Yi-Fan, please don't kill us, please let us live. Mitoman inflammation and transfer Kaharu's voice was trembling. They have been pursuing supreme power all their lives. At this time, facing the threat of death, their true nature is exposed. Haha, you two are senior advisors of Konoha, and you are extremely noble people in the entire Fire Nation. How could I, who am not even a genin, kill you? Live, you must live. Not only will you survive, I also guarantee that you will live a long life. There was an inappropriate smile hanging on Yi-Fan's cold cheek. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi-Fan raised his hands, controlled the chi, and instantly cut off the limbs of their two souls. The severe pain made Mito Menyon and Kaharu scream, and his body kept twitching. Does it hurt? It turns out you know it hurts too. Yi-Fan took action again and took out the spines of their two souls. The moment the spine was removed, a pig-killing cry sounded in the Hokage room, and their bodies collapsed to the ground at the same time, like an invertebrate. Mito Menedis and Kaharu, who couldn't stand this level of pain, fainted from the pain. However, Yi Fan didn't intend to let them go just like that. After raising and lowering his hands, Yi Fan cut off all the souls that could be cut off from the two of them. The intense pain made them wake up again. However, this time they could not make any sound. Mitomanitis and sleeping Kaharu is like a living dead. He can feel pain and is conscious, but cannot make any sound or move. Yi Fan snapped his fingers, and Qi penetrated into their bodies. Two senior advisors of Konoha, in the next few decades, you will feel the pain of thousands of ants 10 times a day. Go and atone for your sins. Hearing this, Nara, Shikaku and the others took a deep breath and took a few steps back unconsciously. They really didn't expect that the seemingly harmless young man in front of them could be so vicious. Just looking at Yi Fan's methods, they felt their scalps numb, and they couldn't imagine what kind of pain Mito Gate inflammation and sleeping Kaharu were suffering. This kind of pain is much more terrible than death. As Yi Fan said, Mito Menyon and Kaharu are feeling this pain at the moment. However, they could not move or make any sound, so they could only bear it all silently with their eyes wide open. They regretted it very much and regretted the decision they made. At this moment, they just want to die. However, for them, death seems to be an unattainable thing. Third Hokage-sama, have you thought about how to atone for the mistakes you have committed? Yi Fan changed the topic and his eyes fell on Sarutobi Hiruzen. As soon as these words came out, everyone's hearts tightened and they were worried. Third Hokage-sama, Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Country suddenly felt tense, and their hearts rose to their throats. Jiraiya stood there, his face became very solemn, and there was endless tangle in his heart. From his point of view, the third Hokage is his mentor, and he does not want the third Hokage to fall into the same fate as Mito Kadoin and others. However, Jiraiya didn't say anything at this time, just waiting to see what happened. He wanted to see how Mark would handle this matter. Third Hokage slowly raised his head and looked directly at Mark, with a touch of relief in his eyes. For so many years, I, the third Hokage, have been completely incompetent. I have made many mistakes and made many irreparable decisions. The third Hokage spoke calmly. I'm sorry for Minato, I'm sorry for Naruto, I'm sorry for the Uchiha clan. I know that since ancient times, merits and demerits do not offset each other. Merits are merits, and mistakes are mistakes. As he spoke, the third Hokage's eyes turned. Jiraiya, from today on, you are the fifth Hokage of Konoha. I believe that under your leadership, Konoha can develop better and find true peace, not a peace that deceives oneself and others. As soon as these words came out, Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Country were shocked, and they already understood the choice made by the third Hokage. Third Hokage-sama, Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation said in unison, and fell to their knees on the ground, crying. The third Hokage is the good Hokage in their hearts and has given them great kindness. Without third Hokage, they would never have gotten to where they are today. Now, seeing third Hokage make such a choice, I have mixed feelings in my heart. Nara Shikaku, after I leave, you two must do your best to assist Jiraiya. The future of Konoha depends on you. The third Hokage has made his own choice, and what he is most worried about now is still the future of Konoha. Jiraiya, I hope you can be a good Hokage in the future and don't fail like me. Looking back at the path I have taken over the years, my life has simply been failure, failure, failure. The third Hokage sighed, and his gentle eyes fell on Jiraiya and Mark. In both of them, third Hokage seemed to see the past time, as if he saw the time when Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru were in front of him. Jiraiya, for so many years, you have been traveling around the countries, looking for the person who can bring changes to the entire ninja world. You have lived up to our expectations, you have found that person. Third Hokage looked at Mark, a smile gradually appeared on the corner of his mouth, and then said to Jiraiya. I'm looking forward to the world you talk about, a world where everyone can understand each other. That is a truly peaceful world, and I believe you can achieve it. Let's do it, Mark. The third Hokage's tone was extremely calm, as if he was not welcoming death, but welcoming new life. At this moment, all the pressure that had accumulated in his heart for many years disappeared. He had never felt so relaxed before. Third Hokage-sama, Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation, their tears were like floods bursting from a dam, they couldn't stop it, and they fell to the ground. In the entire Hokage room, the only sounds left were the two of them crying. Yi-fan, Lord Yi-fan, you can't kill Lord Third Hokage. Although he did make some wrong decisions over the years, he also did a lot of good things. No matter whether the peace of Konoha in the past was false or a bubble, he did save the people of Konoha from war and disputes. Nara Luju knelt in front of Yi-fan and kept talking, hoping that Yi-fan would be noble and let the third Hokage go. The spokesperson of the Fire Nation also crawled over and knelt in front of Mark, also pleading non-stop. Now, they can do nothing but beg. Sarutobi Hiruzen, is this your choice? Yi-fan ignored the begging of Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation, and looked at the third Hokage expressionlessly. The third Hokage nodded and smiled. The mistakes I have made can only be washed away by death. I am willing to use my life to atone for my sins. After a pause, he continued, Yi-fan, you are a person with clear grudges. I hope you can help Jiraiya in the future. The breeze penetrated through the hole and scattered on everyone's bodies, messing up everyone's long hair. Under the flying long hair, everyone's different emotions are concealed. Jiraiya was leaning against the windowsill, his long white hair moving in the wind, seeming to express his messy mood at the moment. Third Hokage has made his own choice, and he is waiting for Yi-fan to make his own choice. Yi-fan stood motionless on the spot, with thousands of thoughts in his mind, thinking non-stop. The crying in the Hokage room gradually stopped and became silent. Everyone was waiting for Mark's decision. It is no exaggeration to say that one word from Mark is enough to change the current situation of the entire Konoha village. Squeak. A sound of pushing the door broke the silence in the room, and everyone's eyes suddenly focused on the door. A young man with yellow hair appeared in everyone's sight. The visitor is Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto looked lonely, tears welling up in his eyes, and his mood was extremely heavy. Yi-fan glanced at him and closed his eyes silently. Looking at Naruto's appearance, he couldn't help but feel sad. The third Hokage looked at Naruto's figure, and his heart tightened. He no longer had the relief and calmness he had before, and his face was full of guilt. Looking at Naruto's hair that was exactly the same as Namikaze Minato's, third Hokage's mind kept thinking of the scene when Namikaze Minato sealed 9 tails. The descendant of such a hero who sacrificed his life for the village has lived such a miserable life since childhood. Naruto. The third Hokage opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. Naruto ignored third Hokage and walked up to Jiraiya with his head lowered and minding his own business. With a lonely face on his face, he spoke feebly. Pervy Sage, Gaara and the others escaped. It's my fault that I didn't take good care of them and let you down. After saying this, Naruto squatted on the ground, 2 lines of clear tears slid down his cheeks and fell to the ground. Naruto listened to an overview of the conversation in the room and basically knew everything. The sound of tears touching the ground hit everyone's hearts hard. Jiraiya touched Naruto's hair, forced a smile and said, it's okay, Naruto. Jiraiya said it was okay. He didn't know whether he was talking about Gaara or comforting Naruto. After a long silence, Yi-fan broke the heavy atmosphere in the room. Naruto, you choose, no matter what, it's up to you. Naruto squatted on the ground, still sobbing non-stop. His mind was like a ball of paste, extremely complicated. There were many things that he couldn't figure out. He couldn't figure out why he had to live that kind of life after becoming a hero. The cynicism and discrimination of the villagers are still vivid in his mind, and they are memories that he will never forget. In the past, these things were buried deep in his heart. And today, all of this comes to mind again. Naruto felt very wronged. He felt that he shouldn't be like this. The feeling of grievance became more and more intense, turning into full of anger. At this moment, the voice of Nine Tails also sounded deep in Naruto's heart. Hate, destroy. There is no need for such a world to exist at all. Kid, do you want revenge? Do you want to kill all those who have hurt you? I can give you power. Let me control your body. I will avenge you. I will kill everyone for you and destroy Konoha. One after another, voices kept echoing in his heart, tempting Naruto. Naruto, who was extremely angry, gradually stopped crying, and the aura on his body became completely different from before. A large amount of red chakra continuously overflowed from the body, wrapping his body. In just the blink of an eye, Naruto seemed to be wearing a chakra coat. As this, Nine Tails chakra, everyone felt the manic and evil aura on Naruto's body, and their expressions changed drastically. Naruto raised his head suddenly, a large amount of red cold light overflowed from his eyes, and his pupils also turned red, like a crazy beast. Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Country were shocked when they saw this scene. They seemed to be facing a demon coming out of the depths of hell. I saw Naruto's figure disappear suddenly, and the next moment there was a loud noise in my ears. Boom! The entire Hokage room shook violently and half of it collapsed. The smoke and dust in the sky dispersed, and only Mitoman Yan and Koharu were seen, one in each hand of Naruto, and they were smashed against the wall. Mitoman inflammation and transfer to bed Koharu, like a dead person without any reaction. If you hadn't seen the fear and pain in their eyes, you would have thought that they were not hurt at all. Naruto's movements did not stop, punch after punch fell on Mitomano and Koharu. Naruto roared angrily and kept hitting, as if venting all the grievances he had suffered over the years. After punching him hundreds of times, Naruto threw it heavily to the ground like a dead dog. Fortunately, Yi Fan left too, Chi, in their bodies at that time, hanging their lives to prevent them from being killed. Otherwise, the two of them would really be dead at this time, and they would no longer be able to enjoy the heart-wrenching pain of thousands of ants. After throwing away the Mito Gate flame and transferring Koharu, Naruto's body ran towards the third Hokage. Upon seeing this, the third Hokage gave up resistance and slowly closed his eyes. Not only did he not have any fear, but he showed a relieved smile. Perhaps, for me, this is the best destination. A violent chakra hit his face, like a strong wind, causing the third Hokage's clothes to fly. Shodai, Nadaime, fourth generation. I'm coming for you. The third Hokage was ready to die, but death never came. The third Hokage was a little confused. When he opened his eyes, he found that Naruto's claw-like palm stopped an inch in front of his head and did not move forward. Naruto. You. The third Hokage spoke with a puzzled look on his face. He really couldn't figure out why Naruto stopped suddenly. Panting heavily, Naruto tilted his palm and the wall behind third Hokage collapsed. Third generation. Grandpa, although my life has been a bit more difficult since I was a child, I have always been raised by you. I can't do anything to you. Naruto's reason suppressed all hatred, and the Nine Tails chakra on his body gradually dissipated. The red pupils gradually dimmed and returned to their previous appearance, but they became extremely lonely. Naruto looked at the Hokage rock and shouted angrily, "Dad! Why did you seal this monster inside my body? Do you know that over the years, I have been treated as a monster because of this monster? Do you know how much grievance I have suffered over the years? Do you know how miserable I have been these past few years?" Naruto roared and howled. Tears like raindrops burst out of his eyes, swayed on the floor, and soaked his shoes. The third Hokage looked at the helpless Naruto, and couldn't help but feel sad and burst into tears. At this moment, he truly felt how difficult Naruto had been in these past years. Naruto curled up and kept muttering. There were accusations against the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato in his words, but also thoughts about him. Naruto's thoughts had fallen into a strange circle at this moment, and he could not get out of it. He racked his brains and couldn't figure out why his father would choose to do this and seal Nine Tails in his body. At this moment, a big hand gently stroked his head, and a gentle voice came from his ear. "Naruto, the reason why Minato did this is because he wants to leave you with a powerful force, and also because he believes in you. Believe me." Naruto slowly raised his head, and a ray of sunlight shone on his body. Looking at Jiraiya with a smile on his face, he felt a feeling he had never felt before. This feeling is like when Yi Fan was spurned by everyone, Yi Fan chose to stand with him without hesitation. Pervy sage. Naruto's mood was completely affected at this moment. That sentence is because he believes in you. It has been echoing in his mind for a long time. Naruto, who was trapped in a strange circle, came out again. His mood was very different from before, and he also had a new goal in his heart. Mark also slowly walked to Naruto, gently pulled him up, and said with a smile, Jiraiya is right, your father sealed 9 tails in your body because he believed in you. Naruto, you are going to be a Hokage in the future, just a little 9 tails, you will definitely be able to train him to be obedient. After listening to these words, Naruto returned to his usual appearance and smiled, Brother Yi-fan, you are right. A little hardship cannot stop my path forward. When I become Hokage in the future, I will definitely bring true peace to Konoha and the ninja world. Naruto's words continued to echo in the heart of the third Hokage, and at a certain moment he seemed to see the rebirth of Konoha. Wherever the leaves are flying, the fire is endless. Naruto, who regained his confidence, looked at Yi-fan and asked, Brother Yi-fan, although Grandpa third generation has indeed made some wrong decisions, can you give him a chance? Yi-fan nodded and said, I told you to choose, no matter what you choose, I will not object. When Nara Shikaku and others heard this, they were so happy that they almost felt grateful to Naruto. If it weren't for Naruto's words, I'm afraid third Hokage would be in trouble today. However, Yi-fan's next words once again made their expressions change drastically. Master third Hokage, I think that from now on, you should forget about your position as Hokage. Isn't it really that simple? Nara thought to himself. The spokesperson of the Fire Country felt his heart tighten, and suddenly became worried about his future after hearing these words. Looking at this, third Hokage's position as Hokage cannot be saved. 1 generation of kings and 1 generation of ministers, if the third Hokage disbands, he will probably be eliminated from the top management of Konoha. However, when he thought about it, it was already the best outcome for things to develop to this situation. If it weren't for Naruto's blessing, the third Hokage would never have ended well. As a member of the third Hokage faction, it is certain that he will be liquidated. Now, they no longer ask for anything. Being able to live well is the greatest blessing. Third Hokage-sama, you are indeed no longer suitable to be Konoha's Hokage. Jiraiya, who had been silent all this time, spoke. Today he finally saw how Konoha was governed over the years. If the third Hokage is allowed to continue to govern like this, the situation in Konoha will definitely become worse and worse. Some things only happen 0 times or countless times. Jiraiya is not a fool. Judging from the reaction of the third Hokage when they initially protected Danzo, the third Hokage has definitely done a lot of shady things over the years. Jiraiya felt a little sad. The third Hokage had become almost unrecognizable to him. The former third Hokage was full of light, but now he has become like Danzo. He felt deeply disappointed with his master. In that position, are you really in control of yourself, or are you unable to follow your own heart? Haha, I think it's the latter. Maybe the teacher has gradually forgotten his true intentions. Jiraiya sighed secretly, feeling a sense of powerlessness that he had never felt before. The teachers who had always taught me have now become like this. He couldn't help but have some doubts about his own ideas. In this world where people will swallow him up if he doesn't pay attention, is it really possible to achieve the ideal peace? Yi-fan looked at Jiraiya, who was deep in thought, smiled and patted his butt, making his own decision. The main members who forced his parents to death have all received the punishment they deserve. Before truly resurrecting his parents, he plans to carry out Jiraiya's will. It is very easy for him to use force to suppress the world and create a world with false peace. However, it is also very difficult to achieve a harmonious world that everyone can truly understand. Although the latter is extremely difficult, it is a long-term solution. Yi-fan chose the latter. He wanted to see if he could really create a harmonious world where everyone understood each other. He wanted to see if this kind of country, which had always existed only in ideals, could really materialize and appear in reality. The reason why Yi-fan chose to do this was actually not just because of Jiraiya. He has experienced the feeling of not being understood since he was a child, and so have his parents. Yi-fan didn't want his parents, who were about to be resurrected, to live in such a terminally ill world again. Today, the world is hopeless. Capable people are constantly fighting for power and money, setting off war after war. People without abilities can only survive in the cracks and face the threat of death at any time. If we want to completely bring this world back to life, there is only one way to change it. After being slapped, Jiraiya gradually woke up from his meditation. He looked at Yi Fan, who was full of confidence and dispelled all self-doubt. He believed that as long as Yi Fan, the son of prophecy spoken of by the great Toad Sage, was around, the ideal country in his heart would one day come true. Jiraiya, Mark, even if you don't bring it up, I will take the initiative to resign from the position of Hokage. The third Hokage has decided to use the rest of his life to make up for the mistakes he has made. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had figured everything out, had no face to face Jiraiya and the others. Jiraiya, from now on Konoha village will be left to you, just go ahead and do it. Don't be a coward like me, don't get lost in a false peace like me. Yi Fan is right. Today's Konoha is only covered with a layer of false peace, but in fact it is rotten to the core. I don't have the ability to change all this, but I believe you do. After explaining all this, the third Hokage took off his Hokage cloak, folded it neatly on the table, stood up and took a look at the sunshine outside the room. Following the words of the third Hokage, the eyes of several people in the Hokage room all fell on Jiraiya, and Mark also wanted to see his reaction. Jiraiya smiled and said, I'm used to being free and loose. I'm afraid I'm not very suitable for the position of Hokage. Jiraiya's decisive refusal surprised everyone. They thought that Jiraiya would happily take over the position of Hokage and then carry out drastic reforms. After hearing this answer, everyone was silent for 2 seconds, and then they seemed to think of something. All their eyes fell on Mark, and the same idea came to mind. Jiraiya-sama, you don't mean to recommend Yi Fan to be Konoha's Hokage. If this is really the case, Konoha will probably undergo earth-shaking changes in the future, and no one will dare to split up. Naruto's fiery eyes stared at Yi Fan, and for some reason, he felt a little bit excited. If Yi Fan really becomes Konoha's Hokage, with his strength and character, Konoha will definitely be able to return to the top echelon of the ninja world in a short time. In Nara Shikaku's mind, there is already a picture of Yi Fan wearing Hokage clothes and showing off his ambitions. Don't look at me, I'm not interested in the position of Hokage either. Yi Fan spread his hands and shook his head. This. Nara Shikaku seemed to have been poured a basin of cold water on him and fell down instantly. Naruto also widened his eyes, stared at Yi Fan in disbelief, and said in a voiceless voice, Brother, this is Hokage. Do you really don't want to be? Yi Fan shook his head. No interest, Hokage is your dream, not mine. Naruto frowned, then relaxed, and laughed. Since neither you nor Pervy Sage want to be Hokage, then I have to reluctantly do it. Naruto laughed, leaving all his unhappiness behind, and returned to his usual unreliable look. Third Hokage, Nara Shikaku, Fire Nation spokesperson. What a fool you are, little brat. Jiraiya slapped Naruto on the back of the head. Pervy Sage, my brother Yi Fan and I are about the same age, why can he be one but I can't be? Go away. If you want to be a Hokage, you should pass the Chunin exam first. Jiraiya cursed and threw Naruto out of the Hokage room. After the farce ended, third Hokage and others fell into deep thought. Neither Yi Fan nor Jiraiya wanted to be Hokage, and there were no other suitable candidates in the village for a while. Jiraiya saw everyone's thoughts and said, let Tsunade take the position of 5th Hokage. She is very strong and she is the granddaughter of the first generation. No one will be dissatisfied with her. Quote. After hearing this, everyone nodded. Tsunade was indeed a very suitable candidate. After finalizing the position of Hokage, Jiraiya's voice suddenly dropped and his face became extremely solemn. Our current situation in Konoha is very pessimistic. The invasion of Sunagakure village and Orochimaru seems to be just an appetizer. Konoha has been targeted by the Akatsuki people. Don, what? Konoha is being targeted by Akatsuki. Jiraiya-sama, is the news reliable? Everyone was shocked when they heard this, and their faces suddenly turned pale. The infamous Akatsuki organization, everyone here has heard of its name more or less. That is an extremely dangerous organization, which has gathered a group of wanted criminals from various countries, and they are all extremely powerful wanted criminals. Regarding the Akatsuki organization, Konoha senior officials have noticed a long time ago that the people in this organization are cruel and ruthless people who kill without batting an eye. Moreover, they often provoke wars between small countries and use wars to make a lot of money. Many small countries fell into their hands and were destroyed because of the Akatsuki organization. I'm not wrong, Konoha has definitely been targeted by the Akatsuki organization, Jiraiya said in a deep voice. Before One Tail completely fell into a riot, I rushed back from the Death Forest to provide support. But just when I returned to the city, I discovered a man wearing a black robe and a black face, standing on the Hokage rock, staring at the situation in Konoha. That person's ability was very special. When I went to chase him, he had already escaped. Quote, during the years that Jiraiya traveled, he not only simply peeked at beauties, but also secretly collected a lot of information. The first time he saw that person, he was sure that that person was definitely from the Akatsuki organization. When everyone heard this, their faces turned cold, and villages that were targeted by the Akatsuki organization often ended badly. Now that Konoha is in dire straits, being targeted by people from the Akatsuki organization is just adding insult to injury. Sarutobi Hiruzen had a complicated look on his face. He had not received any news about the fact that the Akatsuki organization was targeting Konoha. Logically speaking, he should have received news from Uchiha Itachi long ago about this kind of thing. Is Itachi exposed and unable to deliver the message because he is in danger? Or, impossible. It is absolutely impossible for Itachi to betray Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned, thinking about this problem in his heart. Jiraiya-sama, the Akatsuki organization is not a good person. Could it be that they are no longer satisfied with the war between small countries and have turned to our country? The spokesperson of the Fire Nation looked melancholy. Jiraiya shook his head and said, according to what I have learned over the years, although there are many masters in the Akatsuki organization, it is still very difficult to attack a big country. I think their target this time is probably Nine Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto, Nara Shikaku exclaimed. Their appetite is simply too big. From a certain point of view, if Naruto is taken away, the entire ninja world will be plunged into endless war. Do they want to destroy the entire world? For a time, everyone fell into endless worry. If it were a head-on confrontation, they would naturally have no fear of the Akatsuki organization. However, if you are not afraid of thieves stealing, you are afraid that thieves will miss you. The people of the Akatsuki organization were secretly working, and Konoha was working in the open, so the loopholes would be taken advantage of at any time. If Naruto is really taken away by them, it will most likely cause unimaginable consequences. Just when everyone was at a loss what to do, Yi Fan said, you should take the Chunin exam, just take the Chunin exam, and leave the Akatsuki organization to me. Mark's voice seemed to give everyone a dose of tranquilizer, making the senior officials of Konoha feel much calmer. They have seen Yi Fan's strength for all to see and absolutely believe in him. After hearing this, Jiraiya pondered for a few seconds, looked at Yi Fan and asked, Yi Fan, are you sure? The Akatsuki organization is probably more powerful than we imagined. Yi Fan smiled and said, it's just the Akatsuki organization, just sprinkle it with water. Seeing his cynical look, Jiraiya was worried and said, the Chunin exam is scheduled to start after Tsunade comes back. I will go out to find her tomorrow. During this time, Naruto can practice with me. Listening to these words, Yi Fan felt a little moved. Jiraiya did not intend for him to face the people of the Akatsuki organization. The Akatsuki organization is eyeing Nine Tails, but Jiraiya chooses to take Naruto with him. It's self-evident. Then, Jiraiya continued, third generation, you have to take care of the village during this period. Danzo's remaining forces must be dealt with seriously, otherwise there will be endless troubles. Yi Fan, you will stay in the village temporarily to help the third generation deal with Danzo's remaining forces and prevent Akatsuki's people from sneaking into Konoha. As for matters within the village and Sunagakur village, let's wait until Tsunade comes back. Jiraiya cut the knot quickly and temporarily divided Konoha's current mess. After hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. The method Jiraiya decided on was indeed the best method in the current situation. After several people received their tasks, they each left the Hokage room. When Yi Fan left, Jiraiya made a special statement, asking him to work with the third Hokage to deal with the remaining forces of Danzo. The sky is getting dark and night is gradually falling. This night is destined to be a sleepless night for many people. After tonight, Konoha will no longer be the same Konoha it once was, and will undergo earth-shaking changes. Yi Fan was lying in the room arranged by Naraluju, staring at the ceiling in a daze. He was thinking about what to do to realize the ideal country in Jiraiya's mind. After thinking for a long time, I still couldn't think of a good way. Oh, forget it, just take it one step at a time. First of all, let's teach Shaoan organization a lesson. It uses the slogan of peace, but actually commits murder and arson. Nagato, wash your neck well. I'll come to you soon. In the Akatsuki organization base, Pain, Konan, Uchiha Itachi, Kisame Inokagaki, Deidara, Hidan, Kakuzu, Scorpion, and Zetsu were each standing in a meeting. Ju, what news did you bring back this time? How is the situation in Konoha? Pain asked. When Uchiha Itachi heard this, he felt a little stir in his heart, but there was no expression on his face, as if the situation in Konoha village had nothing to do with him. Zetsu Kaido. Orochimaru united with the people of Sunagakur village and launched an invasion in Konoha. Now Konoha is in dire straits, it seems to be a good opportunity for us. How is the battle going? Pain asked. The specific situation is unclear. When I left, One Tail had completely entered a state of riot. Ju said. Hey, Senior Ju, you've been doing this for a long time and you just brought back such news. Afei twisted his body, kept pressing the ring, and said. It's very troublesome to hold a meeting. Is it really good for all employees to hold a meeting just for this kind of news? Afei, shut up. Can you stand still? Deidara punched Afei. Senior Deidara, how could you do this to me? Afei covered his head and cried sadly, and wanted to continue talking, but was interrupted directly by Z. I was discovered by Jiraiya at that time. As you know, fighting is not my strong point. As soon as these words came out, everyone who was impatient also understood. Pain pondered. Jiraiya. Zu continued. There is also a pretty good Uchiha kid who is also in Konoha. His name seems to be Uchiha Yi Fan. As soon as he finished speaking, Uchiha Itachi's expression changed slightly, and he felt worried. At first he wanted to kill Yi Fan, but now that Yi Fan has returned to Konoha, he might take action against Sasuke. Pain didn't take Mark to heart. The only thing he cared about in Konoha was Jiraiya. Pain thought about it and realized that now was not a good opportunity. They had to know more about the situation before they could take action. Then he said, Itachi, Kisame, you should be the closest to Konoha. Please go and find out more information. Let's set off tonight. At night, the world fell into darkness, but the lights in Konoha village were still bright. Anbu Jonin Tenzo, with a team of men, is repairing the Hokage building. They looked at the Hokage building, which was in a mess and dilapidated everywhere, and their hearts were filled with countless questions. Oh my god, what has happened here to make it look like this? These big holes look like they were punched by someone with their fists. There are also these cracks, which seem to be formed by someone stepping on the ground. What happened here at noon? Surprised voices rang out from the crowd. It was hard for them to imagine why the extremely solid Hokage building turned into this. Tianzang looked at the dilapidated building, and his heart tightened, and he was very curious about what happened in the Hokage room. Previously, they heard the Hokage room making a lot of noise more than once. When they wanted to run over to help, they were stopped by Representative Anbu. Anbu spokesperson produced an order signed by Hokage, telling them not to approach the Hokage building. At that time, they were very anxious and worried about the safety of third Hokage. Fortunately, after seeing the third Hokage come out intact, I felt relieved. Let's work, we must restore this place to its original state before dawn. Even if there are all kinds of doubts in their hearts, they still have to complete their tasks first. At this moment, the other major families in Konoha were similar to Tenzo and the others. They also wanted to know what happened in the Hokage room. In just one day, so many things happened one after another in Konoha village, and they were keenly aware of something. Things may change in Konoha. Just as people from various families were thinking about various problems, they received news from Anbu. Let their main characters all gather in the open space at the entrance of Konoha Mausoleum. People who received the news immediately set off and headed to their destinations one after another. When they received the news, they realized that something big might happen tonight. Sure enough, when they arrived at the entrance of the mausoleum, they saw that all the ninjas who participated in the coup today were here, tied up and thrown to the ground. A huge bonfire was burning, as if it had cut a hole in the dark night, it was so bright. Kakashi, Metkai, Yuhi Kurenai, Asuma and other Jonin, each with some ninjas, stood in various positions to guard the group of rebellious ninjas. The families who arrived here one after another also found places to sit down. Hyuga clan, Akamaiki clan, Aburame clan. Basically, any family that could be named was present. In every ethnic group, in addition to the important figures such as the clan leader, almost all of them brought outstanding juniors with them. Like Sasuke and Xiao Li, they had followed their teacher here before. The usually very wide open space seemed a bit crowded at this time. At a glance, there were densely packed people sitting together. Everyone was whispering to each other, all discussing the purpose of calling them here. Among the Hyuga clan, Hinata looked around as if searching for something. After looking for a long time, she lowered her head in disappointment. Uchiha Sasuke sat in a corner, closed his eyes, and didn't know what he was thinking about. Xiao Li was also looking around, and said to himself with a little regret, it seems that Yifan is not here. The traitorous ninjas who were kidnapped by Wu Wadai felt a bad premonition in their hearts when they saw this posture, and cold sweat dripped to the ground involuntarily. The representative of the Shimura clan frowned and suddenly realized something. Could it be that they were brought here late at night to execute them on the spot? Thinking of this, my body couldn't help but tremble, and facing the threat of death, my heart was in a state of confusion. Sarutobi Hiruzen, what are you doing? Why did you bring us to this hellish place? Are you going to kill us? What you are doing is not in line with Konoha's procedures. There was a cry of curses among the Shimura clan, and they kept struggling, trying to break free. The people of the Shimura clan are dishonest. When their ninjas are attacked, they will be punched with a combination of punches. While beating and cursing, he said, you are already clearly launching a coup, and you are still here discussing the procedures. The guarding ninjas became more and more angry, and their attacks became more and more severe. For this kind of thing, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't intend to care about it at all. Danzo's subordinates were already doomed the moment they participated in the coup. Sarutobi Hiruzen, just wait for lousy, Danzo-sama will definitely come back to avenge us. Another roar rang out from the crowd of rebel ninjas. As soon as he finished speaking, the roaring man was beaten up. Duanzo has been reduced to ashes, and you still expect him to avenge you. As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar and there was a heated discussion. Although they all had this speculation, they all felt that this possibility was unlikely and Danzo might have escaped. When I heard the news, I was very surprised. Danzo is a cage-level warrior. Could it be that Lord Jiraiya killed him? Everyone was speculating. Everyone, please be quiet for a moment. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw that the time was ripe and said, I called you here so late because I wanted to announce something to you. As Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke, the noisy crowd instantly became quiet, and even the rebellious ninjas stopped speaking. Today, something unprecedented happened in our Konoha village. Fortunately, it was resolved perfectly in the end. In the 2 consecutive battles, everyone made outstanding contributions, especially Jiraiya, Yifan and the Hyuga clan. Jiraiya suppressed the One-Tail Riot, and Yifan killed the traitor Danzo, which laid a solid foundation for Konoha to overcome this difficulty. As soon as he finished speaking, the extremely quiet crowd erupted into a sound far greater than before. What? Danzo was actually killed by Mark. Didn't Yifan just take the Chunin exam? How did his strength reach this level? Isn't he unable to practice? A group of people who had never seen Yifan take action were shocked. For a long time, in their impression, Yifan was an out-and-out waste, the god of plague, but now he showed super shadow level strength. For a moment, they felt like they were in a dream. They simply could not imagine that the person who was once called a waste by everyone would actually grow to this extent. Most people here have shock and disbelief written on their faces. When Sasuke heard this, he gritted his teeth and hammered the ground a few times, feeling very unhappy. The gap between us is so big. I'm too weak, how can I kill Yifan if I'm so weak? Extreme anger welled up in his heart, and Sasuke felt that his neck was extremely hot, as if an extremely powerful force was about to spurt out. Sasuke, immersed in anger, remembered what Orochimaru said to him when he left Konoha at noon. Sasuke secretly decided in his heart that as soon as his body recovered a little, he would go out to look for Orochimaru. Although he can also see that Orochimaru is not Yi-Fan's opponent, but he is still one of the Sannin, which can at least make his strength grow rapidly. In the room, Yi-Fan, who had been paying attention to the situation here with his breath, suddenly felt the different aura emanating from Sasuke, touched his chin and said to himself, "Did Orochimaru plant a curse seal on Sasuke after all?" Suddenly, Yi-Fan felt two extremely strong auras appearing on the walls of Konoha. Feeling these two breaths, Yi-Fan smiled slightly, he already knew who was coming. On the city wall, two figures slowly appeared, one of them carrying a huge weapon. "Mr. Itachi, your hometown is so beautiful." The night wind was brisk and cool, making the auspicious clouds in their black robes rustle. Under the night, dark clouds gathered densely, and after a burst of thunder, raindrops gradually began to fall. Kisame Mikigaki looked at Uchiha Itachi's somewhat lonely figure, and his mood became heavy. After a long silence, Inukasaki Kisame asked, "Mr. Itachi, are you missing me?" These two men have almost the same experience, and Kisame Mikiha can understand Uchiha Itachi's feelings very well. Looking at Uchiha Itachi's eyes, Kisame Mikigaki remembered some things from the past. At the beginning, he also killed his companions with his own hands in order to complete the mission. In my mind, the figure of a girl lingers. That girl was the first person to take the initiative to invite her to have dinner with her after completing her mission, but she eventually died under her own knife. The most ridiculous thing is that he risked his life to protect the information of his companions, only to be betrayed to the enemy by his boss Zigwashin Pufferfish Ghost. Moreover, the Mizukage Yagura who has been working for him is just a puppet controlled by a person who calls himself Uchiha Madara. When he learned the news, Inukasaki Kisame completely collapsed. He didn't understand the meaning of everything he did. The rain was getting heavier and heavier, and the two of them stood motionless in the rain, letting the heavy rain pour down. The raindrops fell on them, as if washing away their sins. It took Uchiha Itachi more than 10 seconds to answer Kisame's question, his tone calm and without any emotion. "It's not that I miss it, I just don't want to go back to this place again." Kisame Inukaki smiled and said, "It seems that Konoha suffered a lot of damage during the One-Tail riot. Even the Hokage building is close to collapse." After a pause, Kisame continued, "It seems that all the fighting power of Konoha has gathered in one place. What are they doing? Mourning their dead comrades?" At the entrance of the Konoha mausoleum, the blazing fire looked very eye-catching in the dark night. Although it was pouring with rain, it still failed to affect the intensity of the fire. On the contrary, it had a tendency to burn more and more intensely. Uchiha Itachi discovered the situation there when he first arrived. With Sharingan's blessing, he clearly found his brother Sasuke. The moment he saw Sasuke, Itachi's heart stirred. In today's world, Sasuke is his only bond. Seeing the two completely different chakras emanating from Sasuke, Itachi felt very complicated. He does not hope that Sasuke will use this method to gain the power to defeat him. What he hopes more is that Sasuke will defeat him with the blood of the Uchiha clan. They should not only mourn for their companions, but also seem to be eradicating dissidents. Uchiha Itachi said. "Eradicate dissidents? Mr. Itachi, are you referring to the ninjas tied to the ground?" Kisame said. "Yes, many of those people are from the Shimura clan, and they should be Danzo's forces." Danzo, if you put it this way, he also united with Sunagakur village this time during Konoha's invasion. As he spoke, Kisame's eyes suddenly became extremely fierce, and his hands grasped Samahata tightly. In this life, what Kisame hates most are those who collaborate with the enemy. At the gate of Konoha Mausoleum, Hiruzen Sarutobi had almost explained everything, and the name Yi-Fan was deeply engraved in everyone's hearts. At this moment, no one thinks that mark is just a waste with no blood inheritance limit. Instead, they became extremely afraid of Yi-Fan. Those who looked down on Yi-Fan finally recognized the reality at this moment. He didn't mention much about the specific reasons for Sarutobi Hiruzen's abdication, and he didn't even mention a word about Jiraiya and Mark asking him to abdicate. Therefore, this matter did not cause too many waves among the major families. On the contrary, Everyone understood Sarutobi Hiruzen very well and believed that he was old and should really take a good rest. At the same time, people from all major families in Konoha also welcome and look forward to Tsunade's return. Sarutobi Hiruzen adjusted the top management of Konoha, and after announcing everything, he ordered the execution of all rebellious ninjas. This time he showed no mercy or hold back. The moment the order was issued, Kakashi and Metkai, as well as the clan leaders of all ethnic groups, all went into battle and began to deal with the rebel ninjas. For a moment, screams resounded throughout the village at the entrance of the Konoha mausoleum, and hundreds of ninjas who participated in the coup fell one after another. The juniors in Konoha saw this scene and had different feelings. Some people are afraid, some are aware of the cruelty of reality and the hard-won peace. The rain was getting heavier and heavier, and the air was filled with the smell of blood. The hot blood mixed with the rainwater gathered into a stream, flowing freely. On the city wall, Kisame, who was holding the same muscle tightly, looked at this scene and said with a ferocious smile, "Well done. Anyone who betrays the village and collaborates with the enemy should die." In contrast, Uchiha Itachi's expression was much calmer. Seeing the people falling one after another, Uchiha Itachi's mood remained calm. He didn't have the slightest pity for this matter, but felt a little happy. Danzo and his forces have always been a worry for Uchiha Itachi. Now that Danzo and his forces have all fallen, Uchiha Itachi breathed a sigh of relief. Hundreds of traitorous ninjas were all killed in just 3 minutes. Some were happy that their revenge was avenged, while others were still alive. Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation saw a reborn Konoha. From now on, no one can use their own power to block and threaten Hokage's decision-making. Kisame Kazaki looked at all the fallen ninjas and asked, "Is Nine-Tails Jinchuriki over there?" "Who is it?" Uchiha Itachi shook his head and said, "Jinchuriki is not there, he should be eating ramen at this time." Itachi pointed in a direction, and Kisame looked where he pointed, feeling frightened for a moment. Even though he was far away, he still felt that there seemed to be an extremely powerful chakra in that room. This feeling, could it be that of Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin? Yes, it's him. After getting the confirmation, Kisami's face darkened and he sighed. It seems that Konoha is already on guard against us. Unexpectedly, the person protecting Nine-Tails Jinchuriki would be the legendary Sannin. If the opponent is him, whether it is the Uchiha clan of Konoha or the 7 ninja swordsmen of Kurigakure, they all seem to be unknown. Uchiha Itachi nodded and said calmly, "If we fight with him, we will all be killed. The best result is that both sides will suffer losses. Even if the number of people is increased, the result will not change. Let's go, Mr. Itachi, the rain is getting heavier and heavier, and being exposed to the rain is not good for your health." Kisame put away his muscles and prepared to leave Konoha. Just as they were about to leave, a slightly childish voice came to their ears. "Itachi, long time no see, it must have been 10 years, right?" Hearing this voice, Kisami's expression changed drastically, and he instantly felt an extremely dangerous signal. "Who are you?" Kisame shouted, pulled out Samahata and slashed to his side. The shark muscle, carrying a very powerful force, roared towards Yi Fan. Yi Fan looked calm, stretched out a finger, and blocked it easily. When Uchiha Kisame and Uchiha Itachi saw this, they immediately distanced themselves from Yi Fan. Kisame Mikigaki looked at the boy 10 meters away, his heart was overturned and he was shocked. The blow he just made, although it was made out of desperation, was still 89 times powerful. It was such a powerful blow, but the boy blocked it with one finger. In an instant, Mikigaki Kisami's expression became very solemn, and he felt an extremely dangerous aura from the young man's body. He dared to conclude that if they made even the slightest mistake, they would die in the hands of that young man. Uchiha Itachi's face didn't look good either. The strength that Mark just showed had far exceeded his expectations. Not only was he able to sneak up behind him silently without either him or Kisame noticing, but he was also able to block a heavy blow from Kisame so easily. Uchiha Itachi stared at Yi Fan closely, fearful, and immediately opened the Mangekyo Sharingan. The strength of the young man in front of him is obviously not at the same level as 10 years ago. Yi Fan was able to escape from his own hands 10 years ago, but now his strength may have developed to an unimaginable level. "Kisame, don't be so grumpy. It's not too late to wait for Itachi and I to catch up on old times before taking action. Yi Fan said with a smile. Uchiha Kisame and Uchiha Itachi looked at each other, jumped off the wall without any hesitation, and ran towards the depths of the forest. Neither of them are fools. They both see that Yi Fan has extraordinary strength. Jiraiya is in charge of the village. If they fight here, they will definitely be in danger or even fall into trouble here. Yi Fan looked at the two people's retreating figures and chased after them unhurriedly. As Kisame ran away, he asked, Mr. Itachi, do you know who he is? When did such a ruthless man appear in Konoha? Why is there no information at all? Uchiha Itachi said, he is the little brat that you said, Uchiha Yi Fan. He ran away from me when he was 3 years old. Kisame Kazaki was shocked when he heard this. What was contained in this sentence was really astonishing. 3 years old, I was able to escape from your hands at just 3 years old, how powerful must I be now? Sure enough, that guy is totally useless, he can't even get any information. Let's go first. It would be too disadvantageous for us to do anything around Konoha. Uchiha Itachi quickened his pace and quickly shuttled between the trees. Kisame Kazaki nodded and quickly formed the seal, water-style Kurikaku no Jutsu. The moment ninjutsu was activated, heavy fog spread within a few hundred meters, covering all the trees, making it almost impossible to see even one's fingers. At a glance, all you see is thick fog. Yi Fan, who had been following him, saw this and sighed, he is worthy of being called a tailless beast. He can release ninjutsu with this range by raising his hand. However, it would be too naive if you just want to get rid of me through this method. Yi Fan used his breath to feel the direction in which the two people were escaping. Although he could not see anything with his eyes, he could still clearly feel the direction in which they were leaving. After running away for several kilometers, Yi Fan's figure suddenly appeared on the big rock in front of Kisame and the others. Yi Fan sat leisurely, as if he had been waiting here very early. Upon seeing this, Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Mikigaki stopped quickly, feeling shocked. The two of them instantly realized one thing, Yi Fan had deliberately let them escape. Kisame Kazaki slowly untied the bandage on Samahata, revealing his true face covered in thorns, ready for battle. Mr. Itachi, it seems that his strength far exceeds our imagination. Well, that's true. If it doesn't come to an end today, I'm afraid we won't be able to leave here. Uchiha Itachi did not dare to underestimate Yi Fan at all, and immediately released the pupil technique Amaterasu. As a line of blood flowed from the corner of Uchiha Itachi's eyes, Yi Fan's body ignited a black fire out of thin air. I hit it. Kisame Kazaki saw this, and a smile appeared on his face. Amaterasu is an extremely powerful pupil technique. It will never be extinguished until it hits the target. In this regard, Gansaki Kisame also breathed a sigh of relief. The pressure that Mark put on him was really too great, and that kind of pressure was something he had never felt before. Even back then, he had never felt such pressure when facing the man who called himself Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Itachi's reaction was completely different from that of Kisame Kazaki. Recalling the previous battle, he thought that it was absolutely impossible for Yi Fan to lose just like that. Moreover, his face became heavier and heavier, and he always had a feeling that Mark had deliberately not avoided Amaterasu. The black raging fire continued to burn on Yi Fan's upper body. Yi Fan still looked calm, without any panic. Feeling the hot temperature, Yi Fan smiled. Back then, I didn't dare to pick up your Amaterasu. Now it seems that this pupil technique that belongs to you is nothing more than that. Quote. Yi Fan's body shook slightly, he exploded a little randomly, and then bounced away all the flames of Amaterasu. The black flame fell to the ground, and the fire became much smaller in an instant until it gradually extinguished. Uchiha Itachi watched this scene with his brows furrowed. He couldn't believe that Amaterasu's flame would be extinguished directly by Yi Fan. Originally, he thought that Yi Fan had other ways to escape from Amaterasu's shackles, but he didn't expect to put out the fire directly. Kisame Kazaki's eyes were even more bulging, as if he had seen the most incredible thing in the world, and he exclaimed. How is this possible? How can anyone in this world be able to extinguish Amaterasu's flames? Kisame Kazaki looked at all this as if he was dreaming. If it weren't for the terrifying aura exuding from Mark's body, which made him a little breathless. He would definitely think that he was dreaming. Kisame, it seems that he is much more difficult to deal with than we thought. We must go all out, otherwise none of us will be able to leave here today. Mr. Itachi, go all out. Kisame Uchiha knew that Uchiha Itachi was not joking with him. If he didn't go all out, he would definitely die here. Water-style shark bullet jutsu. Kisame Kazaki was the first to attack. A huge water column spurted out, and a huge shark emerged from the water column. The shark was very fast, carrying a powerful force and biting towards Yi Fan. This technique can absorb other people's chakra and turn it into one's own, making it stronger when encountering a strong one. At the same time, Uchiha Itachi also took action. His eyes suddenly opened, and he activated the highest level of genjutsu he could release, Magical Shackle Jutsu. Once, he used this move to kill Orochimaru instantly. It seems I have to knock you all down before you can listen to me properly. It's okay, I haven't been able to stretch my muscles for a long time. It's not easy to meet such a strong ninja like you, so I'll play with you for a while. Facing Uchiha Itachi and the powerful ninjutsu of Gansaki Kisame, Yi Fan stretched out and became a little interested. Genjutsu magic shackle resistance technique and water-style shark bullet technique came to Yi Fan in an instant. Yi Fan was calm, the energy in his body continued to flow and exploded violently. Uchiha Itachi's genjutsu and Kisame Kisami's water style were instantly defeated by the energy exploding from Yi Fan's body. The water style of dried persimmon Kisame is directly evaporated into water vapor by the bursting steam. The sudden situation startled Itachi and the others. What on earth is this power? Uchiha Itachi frowned. This was the second time he saw this power. Moreover, in so many years, he has only seen this kind of power in Mark. Kisame Kazaki was also very shocked and exclaimed, "He is indeed a genius who was able to escape from Mr. Itachi at the age of 3, but he actually possesses this weird chakra. Kisame, be careful, Mark is very difficult to deal with." The two looked at each other and spread out to stand in a different position. Mr. Itachi, in the true sense, this is my first time working with you. Kisame laughed loudly. It's a great honor, I'm going to do it. Water-style big explosion water shockwave. Kisame formed the seal at an extremely fast speed, took a deep breath, and exhaled violently. The area within a few hundred meters was instantly submerged by the water, as if a lake appeared out of thin air. The dried persimmon Kisame stepped on the 3 huge waves, holding the same shark muscle with a bloody mouth in his hand, and killed towards Yi Fan. This level of water style seems to be comparable to second Hokage. Yi Fan sighed in admiration, his body slowly floated up, and stood in midair. This battle was the first such a strong battle he had encountered since his debut. Feeling the terrifying aura that filled the air wantonly, Yi Fan's body gradually became excited. Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki were stunned for a moment when they saw that Yi Fan could actually float in the air. Then, he raised his breath to the peak and killed Yi Fan. On the high mountain in the distance, half of his body was buried in the soil, looking at the battle here with a look of surprise. He didn't expect that Uchiha Itachi and Ingeki Kisame would choose to attack Yi Fan with all their strength, and he didn't expect that Yi Fan could actually fly. Kisame Kazaki, holding the Samahata sword, tried his best to slash Yi Fan vertically. 10 meters away, Uchiha Itachi saw that Yi Fan was completely immune to his genjutsu, and gave up the idea of continuing to use genjutsu and started to use ninjutsu instead. Kisame Kazaki opened the way in front, while Uchiha Itachi used fire style from behind to interfere with Yi Fan. Yi Fan looked around and found that he was surrounded by dense fireballs and faced a full blow from Samahata. However, he did not panic. Instead, he felt a sense of excitement coming from the depths of his soul. "Drink!" Kisame roared loudly, and Samahata fell down. Yi Fan was not afraid, raised his right hand and punched out. The fist collided with Samahata, causing a loud noise. The powerful force directly knocked the dried persimmon Kisame away and hit it hard into the water. Yi Fan's movements did not stop, and his fist turned into a palm and waved out. For a moment, a hurricane roared out of Yi Fan's hand, blowing away all of Uchiha Itachi's Phoenix Sage fire technique. Too strong. Kisame coughed, feeling his hands holding Samahata tremble. When the blood dripped into the water, Kisame Kazaki realized that his palm had been bruised and bloody by Yi Fan's powerful punch. Then, a scene that surprised him even more appeared. I saw that the shark knife in my hand was covered with dense cracks and shattered into pieces. This, Genshi Kisame exclaimed, then smiled bitterly and said, Mr. Itachi, it seems that Yi Fan's strength is far superior to ours. Seeing Samahata being crushed by Yi Fan's punch, Uchiha Itachi was also very moved, and his face became more and more solemn. He felt so unbelievable that Yi Fan's strength had grown to this point in just 10 years. Today's Yi Fan, compared with the original Yi Fan, is simply a world in heaven and a world below. Or, to be more precise, they are simply incomparable, they are two different people. Yi Fan was very satisfied with the strength shown by Genshi Kisame. As a ninja, if you can practice to this point, you are almost touching the ceiling. A man who can defeat 8 tails is indeed strong enough. Yi Fan murmured, with a smile on his face. No matter how strong a person is, as long as he is still human, he will always have weaknesses. We have only one way to go now, kill him to survive. Uchiha Itachi, who activated the Mangekyo Sharingan, whispered, and several kunai with detonating talismans appeared in his hands. Mr. Itachi is right, in this case we have no choice but to fight. Gansaki Kisame knew that it was impossible to escape, and Yi Fan's speed was far faster than them. Ninja technique, psychic technique. There was a flash of white smoke and a shark appeared. Then, Kisame, who was standing on the shark, continued to quickly form seals, water-style Senkasame. In an instant, huge waves arose in the water, and countless sharks continued to appear, killing Yi Fan. Yi Fan did not retreat but advanced, taking the initiative to run towards the densely packed sharks. Come on! Kisame clasped his hands together and shouted, water-style same bullet jutsu. A shark shadow appeared and enveloped him, and the aura on his body became extremely powerful. The densely packed sharks and the dried persimmon Kisame, who was shrouded in the shadow of the sharks, killed Yi Fan together. In this attack, Kazaki Kisame used all his strength. Yi Fan clenched his fists with both hands and smashed hundreds of sharks with one punch. With his fists dancing, he defeated all the sharks. It looks much more comfortable this way. Yi Fan's speed became faster and faster, leaving a series of afterimages in place. Let me see how strong you are. Gansaki Kisame shouted and collided with Yi Fan's fist. Boom! There was a loud noise, accompanied by the waves of air pouring out, forming a huge vortex at the feet of the two people. Kisame Kazaki constantly mobilized the majestic chakra in his body, gathering it on his fist, trying to repel Yi Fan. But unfortunately, even though he had gathered 80% of the chakra in his body into his fist, he still could not defeat Yi Fan. It is as if this young man with no trace of chakra flowing in his body possesses infinite power. Kisame gritted his teeth, feeling that he could no longer hold on. Have you reached your limit? Seeing Yi Fan's face not blushing, his heart not beating, and his ease, he felt a deep sense of frustration. It turns out that the tricks that I am proud of are not worth mentioning in front of others. Yi Fan chuckled. Kisame, you are indeed very strong. There are not many people in the world who can make me sweat. You are one of them. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Fan exerted a little force, and Kisame Kisame's body flew out uncontrollably like a kite with its string broken, and hit the water hard. Kisame, who coughed up blood, stared at Yi Fan, feeling extremely insulted. However, there is no way. After the fist fight, he had realized that the gap in strength between him and Yi Fan was huge, like a gap that could never be crossed. Yi Fan slowly turned around and looked at Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi threw several kunai with detonating talismans, and the figure followed closely behind. Yi Fan smiled and said, will the shadow clone explode? Then he squatted down, dipped a drop of water in it, and popped it out with force. When the water dropped on Itachi's body, a big explosion occurred in his body, swallowing all the kunai. Itachi, if you don't show your true skills, you will be killed by me. As soon as he finished speaking, Uchiha Itachi's body gradually emerged from the water. Along with him, there was also an orange-red light. The light gradually enveloped the whole body, giving birth to a huge skeleton. Chapter 51. Yes, Mark, you were right, if we continue like we did just now, both Kisame and I will be killed by you. The skeleton that enveloped Uchiha Itachi gradually grew larger, and tendon-like things grew out between the skeletons, wrapping around them quickly. In an instant, a huge figure shining with orange-red light, holding a shield in his left hand and a sword in his right hand appeared. The terrifying pressure filled the air, making people palpitate. Kisame Kazaki stared at the behemoth in front of him, took a breath, and exclaimed, "Mr. Itachi, is this your true strength?" It was also the first time for him to see Uchiha Itachi use this ninjutsu, and he was almost stunned with surprise. After living with Uchiha Itachi for so long, he never thought that Itachi still had this level of power hidden. He has always believed that Uchiha Itachi is stronger in genjutsu and does not have any powerful offensive ninjutsu. Looking at it now, I see that my structure is too small. On the mountain in the distance, Zetsu was shocked when he saw this ninjutsu. He always thought that Itachi's body could not support this ninjutsu at all. Uchiha Itachi, you hid it too deeply. Ju stared at the situation here very seriously, and then looked at Yi Fan. Yi Fan's performance far exceeded his imagination. Before that, he didn't even look at Yi Fan, thinking that Yi Fan was just an ant. But now, Ju already feels that her three views are about to be shattered. After living for thousands of years, this was the first time he met a person who didn't have any chakra in his body but could be so tyrannical. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, even if he was beaten to death, he would not believe that such a thing happened. Zetsu's face was extremely solemn. A person with the ability to fly and such strength would definitely shake up the entire ninja world in the future. Even now that Uchiha Itachi has tried his best, Ju still thinks it will be difficult for him to keep Yi Fan. Yi Fan's speed is too fast, even if he is defeated, he may be able to escape. Uchiha Itachi, you must kill him. Ju looked at the battlefield and kept praying in his heart. Yi Fan, your growth rate is so amazing that even I can only use this technique to deal with you. Your power is not unlimited, let me see which one is stronger, yours or my Susanoo. Uchiha Itachi's face was calm, and three turntables shining with red light, resembling the yang fish in the Tai Chi yin and yang fish, appeared next to Susanoo, spinning at high speed. In an instant, the terrifying pressure poured towards Yi Fan overwhelmingly. A vacuum zone instantly formed around Uchiha Itachi, and the lake water was completely pushed away, revealing the original landform environment. Is this the power of the sacred 8-foot Magatama? It seems that it has almost caught up with the tailed beast Jade. Yi Fan pinched his chin and carefully looked at everything in front of him. It was also the first time for him to see Susanoo in reality. He found it very interesting and couldn't wait to try Susanoo's power. Yi Fan, are you ready? Uchiha Itachi whispered, and the three 8-foot Magatama disappeared in an instant, killing Yi Fan at extremely fast speeds. Wherever the 8-foot Magatama passed, it left cracks 1 meter wide, as if it was going to cut off the land. Feeling the manic aura rushing towards his face, Yi Fan became a little more serious. Although the speed of the 8-foot Chong Magatama is fast, it is still far behind Yi Fan. Yi Fan turned slightly and easily dodged one of them, then jumped into the air on the other two. After three 8-foot Magatama flattened the top of a hill, they turned around and attacked Yi Fan again. Yi Fan glanced at the 8-foot Magatama, smiled slightly, clenched his fists, and took the initiative to attack. Looking at this scene, Kisame Kazaki, who was feeling weak, thought he was being deceived and hurriedly rubbed his eyes. After seeing it clearly, he exclaimed, "Is Yi Fan crazy? He actually wants to use his flesh and blood to resist that kind of power." However, what happened in the next second made others completely numb. I saw Yi Fan waving his fist and hitting the 8-foot Magatama, one by one, and they all exploded. The 8-foot Magatama, which possesses heart-stopping power, is like a piece of tofu, and was smashed by Yi Fan until there was no residue left. Looking at this scene, Kisame Kazaki was so surprised that his eyes almost fell out, and he said tremblingly, This is too strong. Can human beings really have such a powerful power?" Seeing this, he already believed what Yi Fan just said to him. Maybe there are really few people in this world who make Yi Fan sweat. Uchiha Itachi was also shocked when he saw Yi Fan smashing the 8-foot Magatama so easily. You must know that in addition to being very hard, the 8-foot Magatama also carries powerful power. Yi Fan was able to smash the 8-foot Magatama, which proves that his power is far greater than the 8-foot Magatama. Itachi thought that he had already underestimated Yi Fan very much, but he never thought that he still underestimated him. Seeing this scene, Uchiha Itachi's face showed an unprecedented serious look. Even when he faced the masked man who called himself Uchiha Madara, he was not like he is today. Itachi, use all your abilities. Let me see where the limits of the Uchiha genius are. Yi Fan laughed loudly, and his figure suddenly appeared in front of Susanoo. He was so fast that even Kazaki Kisame and Zetsu who were watching the battle didn't notice it. Seeing Yi Fan appearing so suddenly in front of Susanoo, they thought Yi Fan had used the time and space ninjutsu. At this speed, even if I turn on the Mangekyo Sharingan, I can barely capture a little afterimage. Uchiha Itachi didn't have time to think too much and quickly used the artifact 8-foot mirror to defend. The 8-foot mirror, a magical weapon that claims to be able to deflect all ninjutsu and physical attacks, I want to see if its reputation is in vain. Yi Fan raised his foot like a whip kick, although his figure was so insignificant compared to Susanoo. However, the power is real. Boom! The billowing smoke rose with a loud noise, and Susanoo was kicked dozens of meters away by Yi Fan before he could stop. The 8-foot mirror also shattered at the moment Susanoo stabilized his figure. Cough cough cough. Uchiha Itachi covered his chest and coughed violently, coughing up a lot of blood. Why is your power so strong? Uchiha Itachi knew that if the 8-foot mirror hadn't been able to resist him, that kick would have shattered the entire Susanoo. At this moment, Itachi understood that even if he activated Susanoo, he could not be Yi Fan's opponent. But he did not choose to sit still and wait for death. He yelled at Kisame and asked him to leave quickly, and then controlled Susanoo to kill Yi Fan. For him, if he wants to defeat Yi Fan, there is only one way left, the sealing technique of the 10-fist sword. Yi Fan saw through Uchiha Itachi's thoughts. Not only did he not shy away from the 10-fist sword, but he took the initiative to meet him. Yi Fan raised his hand and slapped the 10-fist sword, directly smashing the 10-fist sword to pieces. Immediately, he kicked Susanoo again, and Susanoo was completely shattered. Itachi, how far can you see with your Sharingan? Yi Fan stood in front of Weasel who was lying on the ground covered in blood and asked. On the mountain in the distance, Zetsu saw Weasel also defeated, and felt an ominous premonition in his heart, and quickly wanted to go to Pain to deliver the news. But the next moment, his head was grabbed by a hand and hit hard on the ground. Have you seen enough? Uchiha Yi Fan disappeared. Kisame Kazaki was stunned for a moment and hurried to Uchiha Itachi's side to check on his condition. Uchiha Itachi, bleeding from all his orifices and in ragged clothes, lay on the ground, seriously injured and almost unable to move. Watching this scene, Kisame Kazaki quickly helped Itachi up and spoke very quickly. Mr. Weasel, let's get out of here while Mark is not around. If we don't leave, it will be too late, and we will all die here. He is ridiculously strong, and there is no way we can be his opponent. Uchiha Itachi, who was leaning on the tree trunk and barely able to stabilize his body, coughed violently several times and vomited a few mouthfuls of blood again. The physical injuries and the backlash from using Susanoo made his breath low to the extreme. Mr. Itachi, are you okay? On the one hand, Gansaki Kisame was very worried about Itachi's condition, and on the other hand, he was very worried about Yi Fan's return. Before he had time to think too much, Mikigaki Kisame stretched out his hand, trying to pull Itachi onto his back and run away with him. Before his hand touched Uchiha Itachi, Itachi stopped him with words. Kisame, we can't escape. Kisame frowned when he heard this, thinking that Itachi had been beaten by Mark and lost his confidence, so he quickly said anxiously. Mr. Itachi, even if there is only half a hope, we can't give up. We have to give it a try to know whether we can escape. When Uchiha Itachi heard this, he shook his head and said, it's not that I give up, it's that we don't have to escape. Huh, Kisame Kazaki was confused by these words for a moment and said in a daze. Mr. Weasel, if we don't escape, are we going to stay here and wait to die? Uchiha Itachi explained. Judging from the strength shown by Yi Fan, if he really wants to kill us, it is just a matter of raising his hand. But, that's it, why would he go to such trouble to fight with us? When Kisame Mikigaki heard this, he also noticed something was wrong, and his heart was full of questions. Itachi's words were indeed correct. If Mark really wanted to kill them, it would be effortless. Why did he do this? Ganshi Kisame was puzzled. After thinking about it, they seemed to have nothing at all that was worthy of Yi Fan's plot. Need their help with something? It is simply impossible. Judging from Yi Fan's strength, there are probably very few things in this world that he cannot accomplish. Uchiha Itachi wiped the blood on his face, shook his head and said, I don't know the specific reason, but Yi Fan will definitely come back to us, and by then everything will naturally come to light. Kisame Kazaki nodded, sat cross-legged next to Uchiha Itachi, and gave up the idea of escape. Playing with the same shark's muscle that was broken into pieces, only the handle was left, feeling a little distressed. Samahata spent many years with him, and they already had feelings for each other. After a few seconds of silence, Gansaki Kisame asked, Mr. Itachi, where do you think Yi Fan went? Uchiha Itachi thought for a moment and said, I should go find Zetsu. On the top of the mountain in the distance, Yi Fan held Ju's neck with one hand, and the aura emanating from his body made Ju feel extremely frightened. At this time, the expression on Ju's face was extremely complicated, including shock, fear, and disbelief. It's just like a Peking opera face-changing image. You. How on earth did you discover me and how did you come here? There is obviously such a long distance between us. Yi Fan ignored his question, but carefully looked at him, the real mastermind in the entire ninja world. In comparison, Uchiha Madara is just a person who was deceived by a liar, and Uchiha Obito is even worse, he is just a person who was deceived by a liar. After looking up and down, Yi Fan suddenly remembered Naruto's words to describe him, wrapped in aloe vera. Now it seems that this sentence is really apt description. Ju saw that Yi Fan ignored him at all, and he became more and more panicked. If Yi Fan were to kill him today, all the hardships he had endured and all the plans he had laid for thousands of years would have been in vain. Feeling Yi Fan's strong palm, Ju's mind was thinking rapidly, thinking hard about how to escape. He hated himself so much now. If he hadn't come to monitor Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame, he wouldn't be in such a situation. But there is no regret in the world about selling medicine, and now I can only find ways to escape from Yi Fan. Ju thought of many ways, but there was only one option for him to choose: the golden cicada escapes from its shell. Just do it. The black Zetsu in Ju's body immediately used the life of white Zetsu to cover his own life. He could see from Yi Fan's eyes that it was impossible to escape directly today, so he decided to use Baiju's life to replace his own. Taking advantage of Baiju's death, he created the illusion that he also died. The reason why he thinks this method is feasible is because he dares to conclude that Yi Fan doesn't know that he is actually two people. Everything Ju did was seen by Yi Fan. Under the perception of Qi, nothing he did could be hidden. Regarding these small actions, Yi Fan did not stop them, but chose to go with the flow. When he defeated Uchiha Itachi, he realized that Zetsu seemed to be going to call someone. This is exactly what Yi Fan wants, and he wants to come over and add fuel to the fire. It would be best to call everyone from the Akatsuki organization over, so that you don't have to look for people everywhere. In order to strengthen Ju Mingren's thoughts, Yi Fan deliberately said, I hate being peeped by others the most. Fortunately, you are not strong. Otherwise, I would have been killed from behind by you now that I have no extra strength. Forget it in this life, don't hide behind and peek in the next life. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Fan exerted a little force with his fingers, and Ju's head tilted, and he completely lost his breath. Later, Yi Fan threw Ju on the ground and left. The frightened Heiju slowly crawled out of Baiju's body after he was sure that Mark had gone far. It was too dangerous. I almost capsized in the gutter. Yi Fan is too dangerous, we must get rid of him. Heiju, who was surviving the disaster, remembered what Yi Fan had just said, and immediately found a secret place and started to contact Pain. Heiju, who only wanted to kill Yi Fan, did not notice the loopholes in Yi Fan's words and all the things that were wrong. Pain was shocked when he received the news of Uchiha Itachi's defeat against Inagaki Kisame. Based on the information provided by Heiju, he immediately decided to send someone there. Pain and Heiju have the same idea. They both believe that Yi Fan will definitely hinder their plans in the future and must be eliminated. As soon as the Pain ring lit up, everyone in Akatsuki except Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Inagangaki started the video conference again. Which of you is closest to Konoha? Itachi and Kisame failed their mission and were seriously injured. Their opponent Yi-Fan is also seriously injured now. The team closest to Konoha immediately eliminated Yi-Fan. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They didn't expect that Uchiha Itachi and Ingeki Kisame would actually fall into trouble in this mission. Ah-Fei's face suddenly sank when he heard this, and then returned to his usual appearance, swinging his body non-stop and saying, Deidara-senpai and I should be the closest to Itachi-senpai and the others. Pain nodded. Well, you go find them quickly and be sure to get rid of Mark, otherwise this guy will become a big problem. Later, Black Jew provided the specific location to Deidara and Ah-Fei. Yi-Fan, who was hiding in the dark, returned to where he was just after confirming that Heiju had shaken him. Seeing Uchiha Itachi and Kazaki Kisame still waiting in place, Yi-Fan raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a smile. The fact that they are still here proves that they have guessed something. Yi-Fan knows that in fact, Uchiha Itachi and Ingeki Kisame are both people who desperately long for peace. However, reality forces them to make some choices that go against their hearts. The same goes for Uchiha Itachi who slaughtered his entire clan, and the same goes for Kisame Inagaki who killed his companions because of his mission. Both of them did things they didn't want to face because of their respective villages. Living in such a deformed era, this kind of thing is not uncommon. It has happened in almost every village. When Yi-Fan decided to implement the path chosen by Jiraiya, he thought about a lot of things. It would be difficult for him to realize that ideal country by relying on his own abilities. When manpower is exhausted, changing the entire ninja world and creating a peaceful world where everyone can understand each other is not as simple as fighting and killing. There must be a group of like-minded people. When Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki saw Yi-Fan coming back, their nerves became tense involuntarily. Although Yi-Fan was just walking towards them like an ordinary person at this time, he still put a lot of pressure on them. Yi-Fan glanced at the two of them, his eyes first resting on Uchiha Itachi, and once again repeated the question he just asked. Itachi, how far can you see with those Sharingan of yours? This time Uchiha Itachi heard this question and heard some hidden meanings. Before he could continue thinking, Yi-Fan's voice sounded again. Shimura Danzo was killed by me, and Sarutobi Hiruzen has also resigned as Hokage. During their reign, they really made the entire Konoha a mess. Itachi, is it really worth it for you to massacre your entire clan for that decadent regime? Or do you regret it? Boom, boom, boom. When Uchiha Itachi heard these two questions, his heart beat a lot faster and he hesitated to speak. Yi-Fan shook his head and said, although everything you do is for the village, I really can't understand it. When you kill your parents with your own hands, and when you kill your companions with your own hands, how do you feel in your heart? The Konoha you have always wanted to protect is an extremely decayed Konoha. Is it really worth it for that kind of Konoha? Hearing the questions one after another, Uchiha Itachi's face was filled with horror. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen once told him that he would never tell anyone the truth about his massacre of the Uchiha clan, even if he died. But now, Yi-Fan seemed to understand all this very well, which surprised him. Could it be Sarutobi Hiruzen or Danzo who told Mark about this? As soon as this idea came up, he gave up the idea. He felt that the possibility was too small. Looking at Uchiha Itachi's performance, Yi-Fan guessed what he was thinking, ignored his horror, and continued. Your father spared my life against all odds, and he showed great kindness to me. I should have killed you both emotionally and rationally. However, your father voluntarily let you kill him, which makes it difficult for me to make a choice. If I say that I can resurrect your parents and the companions you slaughtered, to create a truly peaceful world without any falsehood, what choice will you make? And you? Yi-Fan's eyes turned to Kisame Kazaki. Mr. Kazaki, the road you have traveled must have been very difficult. As soon as the words fell, the expressions of the two people suddenly changed, and their pupils dilated rapidly, revealing incredible looks. Uchiha Itachi was in a state of confusion. Memories from his childhood kept coming back to his mind. What he had done over the years was played back like a movie in rewind. There is still a voice echoing in my mind. Is it really worth it for that extremely decayed Konoha? If I say I can resurrect your parents. Yi Fan's voice also echoed in Gansaki Kisami's mind. Mr. Makeshi, the road you have traveled must have been very difficult. Kisame Kazaki suddenly felt that his heart became extremely painful at this moment. A woman with a lovely face gradually appeared in his heart and could not get rid of it. Seeing this, Yi Fan continued. The world that the person who calls himself Uchiha Madara told you is just a false genjutsu world. What I want to create is a world where everyone can understand each other and is flesh and blood without falsehood. Be my little brother and work with me to create a truly peaceful world without war. Yi Fan stretched out his hands towards the two of them, and the two of them hesitated when they saw this. They couldn't believe that all this was true. What are you still hesitating about? I can tell you clearly that the false genjutsu world cannot exist in this world. All those who think they are chess players are just pawns. Perhaps what I have to do is indeed a difficult thing, but it is worth it, isn't it? Hearing this, Uchiha Itachi shook his head and said, it's impossible. That kind of world is simply impossible to exist. As long as there are people, there will be selfishness, and there will be fights when there are selfishness. Yi Fan said, you can only know the result after you try it. Is it too early to draw a conclusion now? Uchiha Itachi and Kisame looked at each other, and Kisame said, Mr. Itachi, it seems that what Mr. Yi Fan said is very reasonable. I still prefer the world of flesh and blood to the world of genjutsu. Uchiha Itachi also nodded and said, although this idea is a bit naive, it is worth a try. The two of them reached out and took Yi Fan's hand at the same time, saying in unison, we are willing to work with you to create a peaceful world without any falsehood. Itachi and Kisame could see that Yi Fan really wanted to create a world like that, and judging from Yi Fan's strength, there was no need to deceive them. Yi Fan smiled slightly when he heard this, then I will be your eldest brother from now on. After a pause, he continued, I am also serious about the resurrection. You will be able to see them in the near future. The three of them stand together and have a common goal and fight for it. At this moment, the system's voice sounded in Yi Fan's mind. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully acquiring two like-minded younger brothers. As a reward, you will be rewarded with all the skills and techniques of Kame Senryu, a volume of Ocean Contract, and a set of Senju Hashirama Cell Ultimate Edition. For a time, Yi Fan understood all the skills and techniques of the Guatian style, and he also had a scroll and something similar to a pill in his hand. Yi Fan was in a happy mood after receiving the rewards. These rewards came at just the right time. Just now, he was still worrying about how to improve Kisame Inakasaki's strength and heal Uchiha Itachi's body. Yi Fan didn't hesitate and took out the system and rewards. Kisame, please sign your name on this scroll. Kisame looked at the scroll with the word, Hi, written on it. Without any hesitation, he bit his finger and signed his name. The moment he signed his name, Inagaki Kisame instantly felt that he was connected to the sea, and it seemed that he could mobilize the power of the sea at will. This, Mr. Yi Fan, this gift is too valuable. Kisame Kazaki was very excited. This is just a small gift. If you want to make that ideal country a reality, you can't do it without strength. Itachi, this is yours. Yi Fan handed the elixir-like thing to Uchiha Itachi. After Itachi took it, he felt an extremely powerful force constantly repairing his body. In the blink of an eye, his body reached a peak state it had never reached before. Moreover, both eye power and chakra have been greatly improved, and he feels that his Susanoo has also undergone extraordinary evolution. Uchiha Itachi's reaction was no less than that of Kisame Kazaki, and Yi Fan's figure became more and more mysterious in their hearts. Both of them had the same idea in their minds. Perhaps together with Yi Fan, we can really bring that ideal country to the world and replace this world that is rotten to the core. On the other side, Deidara and Afei stood on top of a huge white bird, moving forward at high speed. Be careful, Fei. Ju's location seems to be around here. Senior Deidara, I seem to have seen them. Afei, where are they? Deidara opened his eyes wide and looked around in the long night. How are things going with Brother Kisame and the others? Senior Deidara, walk 1 mile northeast and you will see them. Afei, don't lie to me about this kind of thing. If you hadn't found them in the past, I would have let you experience the greatness of art. Deidara controlled the big white bird, traveling through the long night, moving forward at great speed. After walking about 300 to 400 meters, Deidara saw a pair of eyes shining red in the dark night. He would never forget those eyes. All along, Deidara had dreamed of blowing up Uchiha Itachi to wash away the shame of being killed in one glance. Faye, I can't tell you have very good eyesight. You can see them even from such a distance. However, looking at Brother Kisame and the others, they don't look like they were seriously injured. Also, the brat standing in the middle should be Ifan. What? It turns out that brat has been caught by Brother Kisame and the others. It's really a waste of time. I originally planned to let him experience the greatness of art, but now it seems there is no chance. Deidara complained endlessly, his tone full of dissatisfaction and disappointment. Faye. Deidara saw that he had been talking for a long time, but Faye remained motionless and showed no response. He felt even more dissatisfied, so he poked Faye forcefully. Faye, who was in pain, gradually came to his senses, put on his disguise again, swayed his body, and said, Deidara-senpai, Kisame-senpai and Itachi-senpai don't seem to have caught Ifan, it's more like they rebelled. When Deidara heard this, he glanced sideways at him and complained, Faye, I'm afraid you haven't woken up yet. How could those two murderous guys rebel? The Akatsuki organization is exactly what they want to do. Before he came, he already knew that Ifan was from Konoha, and no matter what he thought, Uchiha Itachi and Ingeki Kisame would not betray the Akatsuki organization. Why did you betray him? Are you going to Konoha to become a ninja? Everyone knew that Uchiha Itachi massacred the entire clan. How could Konoha still want him to go back? It would be better if they didn't send people to hunt him down. No, Deidara-senpai, they seem to have really betrayed the Akatsuki organization. Look at their state, something is wrong. Let's go and take a look first. Deidara still didn't believe what Faye said. Because he felt that there was no reason for Inokaki Kisame and the others to betray the Akatsuki organization. In the blink of an eye, Deidara and Faye flew above Ifan and the others on the big bird. Brother Kisame, Uchiha Itachi, didn't that guy Zetsu say that you were seriously injured? Why does it seem that not only is he not injured, but his mental state is much better? Deidara asked. The three people standing under the big tree ignored Deidara and focused their attention on Faye. They had discovered Deidara's traces a long time ago. When Deidara saw that he was being ignored, an unknown anger rose up, and he spoke again in a very unhappy tone. Hey, Brother Kisame, what do you two mean? Faye and I came all the way to save you, who are you showing your stinky face to? Deidara could see the disdain for him in their eyes. This made Deidara extremely unhappy and wanted to let them feel what art was right away. Uchiha Itachi selectively ignored Deidara, took a step forward slowly, and said in a solemn tone. Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Kisame followed closely behind, standing beside Uchiha Itachi, ready to take action at any time. Kisame, who had just signed a contract with the sea, was already eager to try that power. The first words Uchiha Itachi said made Deidara feel confused and looked around. At first glance, apart from the long night and some flowers, plants and trees, Faye was the only one left. Deidara looked at Kisame and the others, frowning, and asked. Brother Kisame, Uchiha Itachi, are you out of your mind? The grass on Uchiha Madara's grave is probably already 3 meters high, and they are still screaming into the air. Uchiha Madara, let's end it here tonight. Uchiha Itachi still ignored Deidara, and his blood-red eyes instantly transformed into Mangekyo Sharingan. Mangekyo Sharingan shines with red light in the dark night, which is very eye-catching. Hey, did you make a mistake? Didn't you hear this artist talking to you? Deidara yelled angrily. Uchiha Itachi, are you playing genjutsu and burning your brain out, talking nonsense here? Just when he wanted to continue to vent his dissatisfaction, a serious voice sounded in his ears. Itachi, your pair of Sharingans seem a little different from before. They look so eye-catching in this dark night. What benefits did Konoha give you to make you betray Akatsuki? However, have you ever thought that Konoha might still accept you, a rebellious ninja who slaughtered the lives of the entire clan? And you, Kisame, will Konoha take in a rebellious nin who escaped from another village? Don't be naive, okay. Hidden Leaf Village is far darker than you think. Deidara's forehead was covered with cold sweat as he listened to the voice beside him. Turning his head, he saw a pair of blood-red Sharingans, which scared him so much that he backed away. Afe. You are Uchiha Madara. Deidara shook his head repeatedly. It was really hard for him to imagine that a person who was usually so unreliable could actually be the legendary werewolf Uchiha Madara. For a moment, Deidara couldn't accept this at all. Kisame, are you mistaken? Is he really Uchiha Madara? Although Deidara thought this thing was so incredible, the blood-red eyes that glowed coldly in the dark night still struck his heart directly. Uchiha Itachi, Kisame Kazaki, this world is so dirty and decayed, don't you want to see that peaceful world? HMPH, Mr. Weasel and I still want to see the world Mr. Yi-fan talks about. As for the false world you mentioned, let's forget it. The corners of Kisame's lips raised, he looked at Uchiha Itachi, and nodded to each other. In an instant, Deidara, who was riding on the big bird, felt a dangerous aura rising from all directions. Is that so? Afe touched his chin and said, Deidara did his job. Okay. Although Deidara was a little at a loss, he cheered up when he thought that the enemies he faced were Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame. He immediately took out a large ball of clay from the bag, put it in his mouth and chewed it. Facing these two people, he did not dare to show any contempt, and was ready to use his ultimate move C4 Garuda as soon as he came. Uchiha Itachi and Ingaki Kisame were not idle either, and were about to launch an attack immediately. At this moment, Yi-fan, who had been silent all this time, held them down and said in a deep voice, leave him to me. Oh, that's when you ran away. The traitor. Before Afe could finish his words, he felt a big dick slap on his face, and his body flew out and hit the ground hard. Boom. Afe's body hit the ground hard, and the earth was torn apart in an instant, with sand and rocks flying and thick smoke rising everywhere. The sudden situation startled Deidara, who was just about to release ninjutsu. He was almost convinced that Afe was Uchiha Madara, but now Afe was slapped away by a young boy who didn't look very old. For a moment, Deidara was a little at a loss. He suddenly thought of one thing. It was very possible that he had not deceived them. Maybe Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame were seriously injured before they came here. He didn't see clearly what Yi-fan did when he attacked Afe just now. He only felt that Afe had hit the ground, and the sound of the wind whistling by was heard in his ears. This speed. The corners of Deidara's mouth twitched, feeling very troubled. He no longer thought that Mark was just a child. Looking at Afe lying in the huge pit with blood hanging from the corner of his mouth, Deidara became extremely nervous. He was a little lucky that he didn't face Mark. Otherwise, with Mark's speed, he wouldn't have any resistance at all. Madara, sir, are you okay? Deidara shouted. In the huge pit, Afe felt his head was buzzing, and he shook his head vigorously, feeling slightly better. Wiping away the blood hanging from the corner of his mouth, Afe slowly stood up and stared at Yi-fan standing outside the huge pit, his face extremely heavy. Just based on Yi-fan's first shot, he understood that Yi-fan's current strength was already very powerful. The moment Yi-fan took action, he didn't react at all, let alone release ninjutsu. Facing this young man who was only 13 or 14 years old, Afe had fear and horror written on his face. He no longer dared to underestimate Yi-fan like he did just now, but became extremely serious. Deidara, you should take care of yourself first. Itachi and Kisame are not ordinary people. While speaking, Afe's mental strength reached its peak, ready to take action against Yi-fan at any time. At this time, he had entered a state of virtualization, waiting for Mark to take action against him again. He was prepared to give Yi-fan a heavy blow the moment Yi-fan attacked him again. Above the huge pit, Yi-fan stared at Afe with disdain, holding his hands. Under the perception of chi, Yi-fan already knew that he had entered a state of virtualization. For a time, both sides stood still, and no one took the initiative to attack. Deidara looked at Afe and Yi-fan who were in a confrontation, and his focus was again on the side of Uchiha Itachi and Gansaki Kisame. Facing these two powerful men at the same time put him under great pressure, but he did not choose to back down. Mr. Yi-fan's fighting style, even after watching it several times, I am still so surprised. Kisame Kazaki stood next to Uchiha Itachi and spoke with a smile. Yes, his strength is no longer on the same level as ours. Uchiha Itachi nodded, and all his eyes fell on Mark and the others. The two of them didn't take Deidara seriously at all. Deidara looked at the two of them and was so angry that he didn't regard himself as a human being at all. After all, he was also a candidate for Tsuchikage at the beginning. Not only was his strength the best in the entire ninja world, he also had few opponents. But now Uchiha Itachi and Inagaki Kisame behaved as if he were nothing and ignored him completely. Especially when he saw Uchiha Itachi's disdainful look, Deidara was even more angry to the extreme. He would never forget that look. When they first met, Uchiha Itachi had this look in his eyes after he killed him instantly. Uchiha Itachi, Kisame Kazaki, your opponent is me. Deidara's eyes were scarlet, and he roared heartbreakingly, you two, go to hell. Deidara frantically put a large ball of white clay into his mouth, stirring it constantly with chakra. After a while, an extremely huge giant Deidara with a height of more than 20 meters appeared in everyone's field of vision. Uchiha Itachi, C4 Garuda is a super art that I spent 2.5 years researching. It is an art specially studied for you. Uchiha Kisame, since you are here today, then disappear into my art with Uchiha Itachi. Deidara laughed crazily, like a madman. With the appearance of Garuda, the eyes of Uchiha Itachi and Mikigaki Kisame turned to this side. Looking at the behemoth in front of them, the two of them became somewhat interested. Kisame Kazaki asked, is this a new type of bomb researched by the madman Deidara? It seems to be quite powerful, Mr. Itachi, he prepared this specially for you. Uchiha Itachi looked calm and said, it does seem so. If it explodes here, I'm afraid everything within a radius of 500 meters will be razed to the ground. Hearing this, Kisame Kazaki smiled and said, it sounds really powerful, but a bomb of this magnitude may not even threaten Mr. Itachi who didn't get the mysterious item. Uchiha Itachi had no words, neither objection nor agreement. Deidara, who was standing on top of the big bird, looked at Uchiha Itachi and the others with a look of contempt, and was so angry that he even bit his back molars. Uchiha Itachi, dried persimmon Kisame, you will regret it. Drink. Deidara roared, and Garuda instantly fell apart, collapsed, and exploded. The explosion of Garuda did not destroy the surrounding flowers, plants and trees, but left them unscathed. When Kisame saw this, he frowned and said, as the bomb Deidara has been studying for 2.5 years just a dud. Deidara looked at the two people who were still standing there, with an excited smile on his face. Die, let me die. Seeing this, Kisame Kazaki's brows furrowed deeper and deeper, and he felt something was wrong. Uchiha Itachi's next actions made him even more certain of this idea. A ray of orange-red light suddenly lit up in the dark night. Itachi directly used Susanoo, and he also directly opened the third stage of Susanoo. Mr. Itachi, what are you? Deidara's Garuda is not a dumb bomb, but a nanoscale smile bomb that divides that behemoth. It will enter the human body with breathing and then explode. Uchiha Itachi pointed to the situation outside, and Kisame Mikiha looked in the direction he pointed at, and was suddenly shocked. All living creatures except Susanoo gradually turned into ashes in an instant, without even a drop of blood remaining. Deidara, this lunatic, has been studying Garuda for 2.5 years. He is really perverted. Kisame Kazaki was very surprised, but he didn't know that Deidara was the most surprised. Deidara looked at the scene in front of him, his pupils dilated rapidly as he looked at Susanoo, who was emitting orange-red light. Looking at all this, he simply couldn't believe that this was the truth. How is this possible? How can there be such ninjutsu in this world? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Garuda, I've spent 2.5 years of hard work, but why can't I kill Uchiha Itachi? For a moment, Deidara felt like he was going crazy and kept talking to himself. Even though I have tried very hard, why can't I kill Uchiha Itachi? Afei in the giant pit was also severely surprised when he saw Uchiha Itachi's Susanoo. Is this the trump card you have always relied on? I didn't expect that your Mangekyo Sharingan actually hides this level of power. Sir, don't be in a daze, I'm going to kill you. Yi Fan chuckled. The reason why he didn't continue to beat Afei just now was because he wanted to feel how powerful Garuda was. Now it seems that it is nothing more than that, and there is no interest in it anymore. When Afei heard this, his face was as cold as frost, and his face was as black as the bottom of a pot. From Mark's words, he could clearly feel something. It seems that Yi Fan knows many of his secrets. Such thoughts made him feel more and more that he could no longer keep Mark alive. A Fei stretched out his right hand and hooked his fingers towards Yi Fan. The meaning was very obvious. Yi Fan snorted coldly and disappeared in a flash. This time he deliberately slowed down. Ah Fei, who was in full power of Sharingan, saw this and raised a smile on his lips. Yi Fan, it seems that your extreme speed cannot be released all the time. All your movements are invisible to my Sharingan. In the blink of an eye, Yi Fan's fist came in front of a Fei and passed through a Fei's body. Ah Fei sneered. This time, I won. Wood style the art of cutting. This ninjutsu is a very cruel ninjutsu. As long as the branch pierces the enemy's body, it will grow crazily inside the enemy's body, and finally explode inside the body. A Fei had already prepared this ninjutsu a long time ago, just waiting for Yi Fan to take the initiative. Watching Yi Fan's figure gradually penetrate his body, a Fei's smile under the mask became stronger and stronger. That's it, Yi Fan. The branch had already touched Yi Fan's body. A Fei couldn't help but get excited at the thought of seeing Yi Fan explode and die soon. I don't know where you learned some secrets, but it doesn't matter now, just go to hell with all this. If I am in a good mood, you may be there in that world where there is only peace. Quote. The branches formed by a Fei's arms grew rapidly on Yi Fan's body with fierce power, trying to pierce Yi Fan's body and take root in his body. Uchiha Obito, you have to choose a good time to dream. All your ninjutsu has no effect on me. Yi Fan's calm voice sounded, and all the branches wrapped around him were broken in response. After hearing these words, Ah Fei's pupils shrank rapidly, and his heartbeat couldn't help but beat rapidly. Previously, when he heard Nizi, he was still a little unsure that Yi Fan knew who he was, but as soon as these words came out, he was completely confirmed. For a moment, Uchiha Obito's mind was filled with incredulity and disbelief. However, Yi Fan didn't give him much time to think. The figure suddenly disappeared from his sight and suddenly appeared on his back. Uchiha Obito, are you familiar with this move? Before he finished speaking, Yi Fan's fist fell on Obito's back, and the fist was welded deeply into the soil. The powerful force penetrated Uchiha Obito's body and exploded in the huge pit. Suddenly, the huge pothole turned into an abyss with no end at a glance. Puff! Uchiha Obito spat out a mouthful of blood, and all the bones on his back were broken. His eyes widened suddenly, and he couldn't believe this scene. This scene was all too familiar to him. When he summoned Nine-Tails Caller at Konoha village, 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato used this move to defeat him. Uchiha Obito dragged his seriously injured body, quickly distanced himself from Yi Fan, and stared at him. His mind was full of questions and incredible. Who he is and what his abilities are, apart from himself, no one else in the world knows these things. And Yi Fan seems to know these things very well. This made Uchiha Obito feel deeply puzzled, and at the same time he felt a trace of groundless fear. Who on earth are you? How did you learn all this? Uchiha Obito was extremely shocked, even more shocked than when he first saw Uchiha Madara. There was no reply to his question, but another punch from Yi Fan came. As if teleporting, Yi Fan came to him again, raised his hand and punched Uchiha Obito's arm off. Uchiha Obito looked at all this and was trembling all over. The position chosen by Yi Fan was really unbelievable to him. The 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato also broke his arm. You. Yi Fan. You. Uchiha Obito raised his finger and pointed at Mark, unable to say a word for a long time. His mind was now a mess. In addition to the physical pain, the mental pressure was what made him collapse the most. Yi Fan looked at the arm that fell to the ground, Uchiha Obito, who was still able to stand firm after suffering 2 heavy blows, and said coldly. Hashirama cells are indeed worthy of their reputation. People who transplant Hashirama cells can not only gain powerful strength. The body's ability to withstand blows and recovery can also be greatly improved. Uchiha Obito was stunned in place, no longer showing his former grace, but only surprised and puzzled. Even though he was thinking about it, he couldn't figure out how Mark knew these things. Could it be that Yi Fan was Uchiha Madara who used some secret technique to rejuvenate his youth? This idea was rejected by Uchiha Obito as soon as it came up. There is a cooperative relationship between myself and Uchiha Madara, and they both share a common dream. If Yi Fan is really Uchiha Madara, there is no reason to attack him. The possibility that Yi Fan is 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato is even less likely. Not to mention that Namikaze Minato has died long ago. Namikaze Minato has no idea who he is. Looking at Uchiha Obito's stunned eyes, Yi Fan asked coldly. You personally killed your master, Minato Namikaze, and your master, Kushina Uzumaki. Don't you have any guilt over the years? Uchiha Obito, you were really not soft at all. If Minato Namikaze hadn't reacted quickly, Uzumaki Naruto would have died in your hands. Uchiha Obito was speechless after hearing this. There was only one idea in his mind: escape from here. Yi Fan's eyes turned cold and he said sarcastically, you think this world is ugly, so you want to destroy it. One thing I really can't figure out is, since you can make up your mind to kill Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, why not kill Hatake Kakashi? Logically speaking, Kakashi should be the person you hate the most, because he personally killed your beloved Lin. Uchiha Obito heard Lin's name, and his body kept trembling. Lin's death has always been a pain in his heart. Yi Fan, how on earth did you know about this? Yi Fan ignored his question and said to himself, haha, do you think what you see with your eyes is the truth? Do you think there are really so many coincidences in this world? You just went out and saw Lin died in Kakashi's hands. Don't be stupid, okay? It's all just a trap set by Uchiha Madara for you. He just wants you to use your anger to gain more power so that you can do things for him. You think Uchiha Madara is a good person who saved your life, but you are just his pawn. Uchiha Obito heard these words and kept shaking his head. Impossible, impossible, this is absolutely impossible. You are lying. Is it impossible? If it is true or false, you should go to another world and ask Uchiha Madara. Also, don't forget to apologize to your master and mother. Yi Fan's face sank, and the breath on his body gradually became cold. Namikaze Minato was a character that Yi Fan liked very much in his previous life, and he was really angry the moment he saw Obito. He really couldn't understand why Obito could make up his mind to kill Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, tearing apart a family that could have been happy. In comparison, Itachi's situation is somewhat different from Obito's. Itachi's parents died voluntarily, and most of the clan members killed were the same people who forced Yi Fan's parents to death. In comparison, Yi Fan can forgive Itachi, but cannot forgive Obito. Obito's experience is indeed very sad, but this is not the reason why he killed Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. Uchiha Obito felt the chill coming to his face and the breath of death rising from the ground. His mind was spinning rapidly, thinking about how to get out of here. I can't die here. There are still many things waiting for me to do in this world, and Lin is still waiting for me. I can't sit still and wait for death. I can't die here. I want to completely change the world. I want Lin to come back to me. Fire-style explosive wind dance. Uchiha Obito formed a seal with one hand, used Kamui to summon a strong whirlwind, and combined with the fire-style technique to release a huge flame vortex. The flame vortex was extremely fast and powerful, and it enveloped Yi Fan in the blink of an eye. The moment the flame vortex enveloped Yi Fan, Uchiha Obito immediately ran away at an extremely fast speed, trying to distance himself from Yi Fan before using Kamui to leave. He didn't dare to be careless or take any chances. Since Yi Fan knows so many secrets about himself, he must also know that when he uses Kamui to escape, his body also becomes physical. Yi Fan felt the spatial fluctuations in the flame vortex and murmured, "The space in this world is really fragile." Immediately, he extinguished the whirlpool of flames that enveloped him with a wave of his hand. The flame vortex had just extinguished, and the trees in the forest seemed to have come alive, attacking Yi Fan crazily. Looking at the attack composed of hundreds of big trees, Yi Fan's emotions did not fluctuate at all. All of this seemed so childish in his eyes. Looking at Uchiha Obito's crazy running figure, Yi Fan showed a playful smile. Run away, I want to see how far you can run." The aura on Yi Fan suddenly exploded, and all the hundreds of big trees were reduced to ashes, and the ground beneath his feet was destroyed. The strong wind spread in all directions, and the big bird under Deidara's feet exploded. Uchiha Itachi, who had activated Susanoo's third form, and the dried persimmon Kisame shrouded in it, were also blown hundreds of meters by the strong wind, breaking countless large trees before they came to a stop. Staring at the land that was full of life and spring just now, but now turned into a desolate land, Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki took a breath of cold air. This level of strength is simply beyond their knowledge. Compared with when he fought with them just now, Yifan obviously showed more strength now. The corners of Ganshi Kisami's mouth twitched and he said, "Mr. Yifan's strength is too outrageous, isn't it? Mr. Itachi, did you see what happened just now?" Uchiha Itachi shook his head, his face also extremely shocked. In his eyes, Yifan's strength seemed to have no upper limit, and he could do whatever he wanted to do. Just the burst of breath from his body could lift Susanoo hundreds of meters, which made him think he was dreaming. Before this, Itachi had never thought that someone in this world could possess this level of power. Deidara, who was blown up by his big bird and turned into a blue sky, looked at the desolation in front of him, his whole body trembling. Deidara stared at Yifan, his pupils dilated rapidly, his heart was filled with turmoil, and he was so excited that he couldn't express it in words. After waiting for several seconds, Deidara shouted excitedly, "Art, this is art, this art has surpassed my Garuda. I didn't expect that there are still artists like me in this world." When Yifan heard this, he couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth, thinking that Deidara would be so excited that he died if he saw the scene of the exploding stars. Where is this? It's not even a small scene. After the excitement, Deidara's eyes showed fanatical eyes. I also want to implement my art, and I can't let my art fall behind. Deidara frantically made bombs with clay and started bombing wildly. Art as an explosion. Looking at this scene, Yifan frowned slightly and murmured, "Isn't this Deidara crazy?" After making a complaint, Yifan's figure appeared in front of Uchiha Obito, blocking his way. Upon seeing this, Uchiha Obito stopped quickly, turned around and ran in the other direction. "Uchiha Obito, where can you escape to?" Yifan's figure was like a ghost. No matter where he ran, he could not escape. Uchiha Obito broke out in cold sweat, and his heart felt cold. Looking around, he glanced at Deidara, who was in a state of madness and bombarding Susanoo, and headed over there. He knew that Deidara also hid an ultimate trump card, and was going to use Deidara's ultimate trump card to buy himself time to escape from this place. Within Susanoo, Uchiha Itachi looked at Deidara, who was bombing wildly with an expressionless face, and said, "Deidara, is this all you can do?" Deidara saw Uchiha Itachi's extremely contemptuous look, his eyes were as wide as copper bells, and every inch of his skin was trembling with anger. Over the years, this look appeared in his dreams countless times, causing him to wake up from his dreams. "Ah, ah, ah," Deidara roared hysterically. "Uchiha Itachi, you look down on others too much. Laozi has had enough of this look in your eyes. Let Laozi die." The anger has completely made Deidara lose his mind, and now he just wants to kill Uchiha Itachi. "Deidara, you are still as noisy as before." Uchiha Itachi spoke calmly, opened his eyes suddenly, and released the pupil technique Tsukuyomi. For a moment, Deidara, who was extremely crazy, found himself being pulled into the world of genjutsu. Puff! A long knife with cold light pierced Deidara's body. Immediately, countless long knives appeared and stabbed Deidara one after another. "Finally, we can be quiet a little bit." Uchiha Itachi's eyes turned to Uchiha Obito, ready to stop him. Uchiha Obito saw Deidara standing motionless, and instantly understood that he had been hit by Itachi's genjutsu, and cursed angrily. "What a waste. It seems we have to find a way to wake him up first." Uchiha Obito glanced at Yifan, who had been following behind him, and sped up again. Kisame, who was shrouded in Susanoo, couldn't hold back anymore when he saw Uchiha Obito running towards this direction. I saw Kisame Kazaki forming seals quickly and yelling, "High escape, big explosive sea wave." In an instant, the area within a radius of 5 kilometers was instantly submerged by seawater, and all that came into view was seawater. Uchiha Itachi was shocked when he saw this scene. This level of ninjutsu has simply exceeded the scope of ninjutsu. Uchiha Obito glanced at the forest that turned into a vast ocean, stumbled, and almost fell into the water. Inokaki Kisame himself was also very shocked. The scope of this ninjutsu is simply outrageous. Gate of opening is outrageous. Yi Fan seemed very calm. After all, Kisame Kazaki was a man who had signed a contract with Dahai. Kisame Inagangaki looked at Uchiha Obito running towards him, and released the ninjutsu Sea Release and Sea Dragon Bullet Jutsu. In an instant, a water dragon more than 10 meters wide and 70 or 80 meters long roared towards Uchiha Obito. When Obito saw this scene, his whole face was twitching, and he cursed secretly, "You call this ninjutsu?" When he came back to his senses, he thought of one thing. Gansaki Kisame and the others suddenly became so powerful because of Mark. Uchiha Obito felt more and more strange in his heart, and wanted to know who Yi Fan was. The huge water dragon attacked Obito and passed directly through his body. Seeing this scene, Iniki Kaki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi finally understood why Yi Fan was just chasing Obito. After knowing the truth, they were even more surprised by Yi Fan's strength, because at the beginning, Yi Fan hit Obito several times in a row. Is his Sharingan ability a virtual body? Uchiha Itachi whispered. Although he had dealt with him many times before, he had never done anything with him, so he didn't understand him well. Suddenly, Itachi turned to look at Deidara, who had been hit by Tsukuyomi. He felt that Deidara seemed to have broken free of Tsukuyomi. Uchiha Itachi, stop being so condescending. In the Tsukuyomi world, Deidara's meridian surged and he struggled with all his strength. The chains that bound his body in the spiritual world were constantly vibrating, and many invisible cracks had appeared on the surface. Uchiha Itachi, Deidara, will never fall to your Sharingan for the second time. Deidara roared angrily, veins popped out on his face, and he exploded with all his strength. Snapped. A crisp sound sounded, and all the chains broke. In the real world, Deidara was half kneeling on the second big bird he pinched, breathing heavily. Uchiha Itachi, do you think your Sharingan can control me a second time? Deidara, who returned to the real world from the Tsukuyomi world, pointed at Itachi and shouted. However, his voice became weaker and weaker until it disappeared. When he saw the scene around him clearly, he seriously doubted that he had not escaped from Itachi's Genjutsu world at all, but from the Tsukuyomi world to another Genjutsu world. At a glance, all you can see is the water, as if you were on the sea. Mr. Itachi, did Deidara break free of your Genjutsu space by relying on his own willpower? Asked Kisame Inukasaki. Well, yes, I didn't realize his willpower was so strong. Uchiha Itachi was also a little surprised. Over the years, Deidara was the first person to use his willpower to come out of the Tsukuyomi world. This is not Genjutsu space. Deidara listened to the conversation between the two of them and looked around again. If this is really the real world, where does this water come from? Forget it, no matter where it comes from, I can't control it, and I don't have the leisure and elegance to care about it. I only know that now I'm back. Deidara pointed at Uchiha Itachi and laughed maniacally. Isn't your Sharingan awesome? Why can't you trap me? Uchiha Itachi, don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in a turtle shell. I will now let you see what real art is and let you see the greatness of art. Deidara's laughter echoed above the water, echoing in everyone's ears. Uchiha Obito was relieved to see Deidara break free from the Genjutsu space and use his ultimate trump card again. At first, I was still worried about what to do to make him willing to use his trump card, but now it seems that he doesn't need his own push. Seeing Deidara take off his clothes, revealing his well-proportioned muscles and his mouth on his chest, Uchiha Obito quickened his pace. Yi Fan naturally noticed the situation over there. Is he trying to use Deidara's self-destruction to force me back and escape? He's too naive. Yi Fan continued to follow Uchiha Obito unhurriedly, waiting for the opportunity to kill him with one blow. Deidara, this madman, what are you doing? Kisame Kazaki frowned as he looked at his body that was getting darker. Deidara's scarlet eyes stared at Uchiha Itachi not far away, with a look of imminent victory on his face, and he laughed wildly. You will see the greatest scene in the world. This is my ultimate art. Next I am going to blow myself up, and after I die I will turn into art, which is unprecedented art so far. In my praise, you will all turn to ashes. Come, tremble, marvel, despair, cry loudly. My art is explosion. As he spoke, Deidara's body turned into a ball covered with black threads, and rays of light gradually shot out from the black ball. Those rays of light seemed to light up the night. Uchiha Itachi looked at the turbulent chakra emitting from the black ball, and quickly shouted towards Yi Fan. Yi Fan, run away. Don't come here again. At the same time, Uchiha Itachi took the dried persimmon kisame and left quickly in the opposite direction. When Yi Fan heard this, he had no intention of paying attention and continued to chase Uchiha Obito. Uchiha Obito looked at Yi Fan, who was still chasing after him. His face changed drastically, and he said seriously, "Isn't he afraid of death? Or does he have a trump card that is enough to resist Deidara's self-destruction?" Uchiha Itachi, who fled here as fast as possible, saw that Yi Fan still hadn't left, and shouted again, "Yi Fan, run quickly, Deidara's self-destruction is unimaginably powerful. You go first, don't worry about me. Yi Fan Kaido." Uchiha Itachi heard this and knew that Yi Fan had a way to deal with it, so he left quickly. Deidara, who turned into a black ball, looked at Uchiha Itachi, who was running away like crazy. He was very satisfied and yelled, "Drink." In an instant, the black ball burst out with white light, and the extremely powerful and destructive force spread in all directions. A huge shadow appeared out of thin air, looking so dazzling in the dark night. With the appearance of the phantom, everything within a radius of 10 miles was destroyed, leaving nothing behind. The extremely powerful destructive power penetrated Uchiha Obito's body. Obito looked back and saw that Yi Fan's body was shining with yellow light. That yellow light isolates all destructive power. Uchiha Obito looked at Yi Fan, who was not affected at all, and was shocked. He really couldn't imagine what kind of power Yi Fan used to withstand an explosion of this level. Seeing that this level of destructive power could not hurt Yi Fan, Uchiha Obito no longer had the idea of escaping completely. All he wants now is to save his own life, and he has no extravagant demands for anything else. It doesn't matter if it's a broken hand or a broken leg, as long as you can survive. Thinking of this, Uchiha Obito no longer hesitated, gathered all the chakra in his body on Sharingan, and activated Kamui. This time Kamui has used chakra the most among all the times he has used Kamui. He has staked everything. Correspondingly, his body also disappeared the fastest. Yi Fan saw that he finally couldn't help but use Kamui to escape, and instantly arrived in front of him, raised his hand and punched him. The fist was swung out, and Uchiha Obito's body was directly destroyed. Looking at all the flesh and blood annihilated in the blast wave, Yi Fan frowned and murmured, "Did you only blow up one half of your body? It seems that the other half of your body has already entered the Kamui space." Yi Fan sighed, "It seems we can only wait until next time. Now I can't feel his breath at all." After a pause, he murmured to himself, "Don't be too promiscuous in the future. Being too promiscuous is not a good thing." The aftermath of Deidara's self-destruction has completely dissipated, and at a glance, everything is in ruins, with no grass growing. Under the cover of night, far away from Yi Fan, there was a huge thing in the air, glowing with orange light all over. The complete Susanoo. It looks pretty good. Yi Fan waved his hand towards the behemoth. After a while, Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kazaki met Yi Fan in high spirits. "Mr. Yi Fan, it's great that you're okay. The power of that lunatic Deidara's self-destruction is really too great. If it weren't for Mr. Itachi's protection, I might have finished." Yi Fan waved his hand and said, "These are nothing, it's just a pity that the guy ran away, let's go." While speaking, Yi Fan looked at Uchiha Itachi a few more times and found that he did not feel any discomfort at all, nor did he have any sequelae. The Itachi whose eyes would bleed even when using Amaterasu seems to be gone forever. "Mr. Yi Fan, where are we going next?" asked Kisame Kazaki. Listening to this question, Uchiha Itachi's heart stirred up a lot of excitement, and he was somewhat looking forward to Mark's answer. "Come back to Konoha with me first, and after I finish explaining some things, decide on your next stop." When Uchiha Itachi heard this answer, he laughed heartily. This time he was able to meet Sasuke up close. In the Kamui space, Uchiha Obito, covered in blood and dying, with only half of his body left, was lying on the ground breathing heavily. For just a moment, he felt like he was about to die. If he hadn't decisively chosen to give up 2/3 of his body, he might have fallen into Yi Fan's hands. Thinking of Yi Fan's terrifying strength, Uchiha Obito couldn't help but feel palpitations. Facing Yi Fan, he had no strength to resist at all. To say he was beaten was a bit flattering. The strength gap between us is like a 3-year-old child facing an elite Jonin. I really look too small in front of him. All my ninjutsu are nothing in front of him. How can he be so powerful? How could he know so many of my secrets? He said that Uchiha Madara has been lying to me. Is it true or not? Am I really just a chess piece all this time? As the reason why Lin died was a special arrangement by Madara. Recalling what Yi Fan said, Uchiha Obito was upset. Yi Fan's figure seemed to be deeply engraved in Obito's mind, and he couldn't get rid of it no matter what. After thinking for a long time, Uchiha Obito still couldn't find the answer he wanted. Recalling the scene where Kakashi killed Lin, Obito felt more and more that Mark had not lied to him. Alas, whether it is true or false, it cannot stop my determination to recreate a new world. I will also find the real truth about Lin. Yi Fan, he must die too. He knows too many things. Uchiha Obito made up his mind. However, Yi Fan's strong strength forced him to consider the long term. He knew that facing an opponent of Yi Fan's level, he couldn't make any mistakes. If you take even half a step wrong, you will be in an abyss. For Uchiha Obito now, improving his own strength is the most important thing. Uchiha Madara said that after opening both eyes of Mangekyo, you will gain a new kind of power. Is this what you are referring to? Uchiha Obito recalled the scene of Uchiha Itachi turning on Susanoo. That brand new power looks really strong. Obito's eyes became gradually colder. It seems it's time to get my other eye back. Uchiha Obito has already thought about the way to go next. After his body recovers, the first thing he does is to go to Konoha to find Kakashi to get his eyes back. During the period of recuperation, Pain had to send people to capture the major-tailed beasts as quickly as possible. Yi Fan's strength is so powerful that Uchiha Obito suspects that even if he obtains that new power, he may not be his opponent. To be on the safe side, you must obtain the power of other tailed beasts. Only then can he be sure to get rid of Mark. Unless Yi Fan dies, the Eye of the Moon project will not be carried out. After Deidara self-destructed, Yi Fan took Uchiha Itachi and Kazaki Kisame and walked towards Konoha. This time, they did not choose to rush, but chose to walk back slowly. A ray of sunshine cut through the dark night and shone on the three of them. Yi Fan and the others seemed to walk into this dark world with light, dispelling all the darkness. Uchiha Itachi stared at Yi Fan's not-so-tall back, feeling that the world could really be changed in another way. It was this man whose strength seemed to have no upper limit who gave him a second chance to choose. He firmly believed in some of Yi Fan's words, and in the near future, he would be able to say sorry to his parents in person. The thoughts in Kisami's mind were similar to Itachi's. Yi Fan gave him a chance to start over and gave him a new life. Kisame Kazaki raised his head and glanced at the fiery morning glow hanging on the horizon, and whispered softly, "This time, let me invite you to dinner." The sun disperses the darkness and gradually illuminates the earth, giving this hopeless world a glimmer of hope. Although the voice of Kazaki Kisame was very low, Yi Fan and Uchiha Itachi still heard it clearly. Yi Fan stopped, looked at the Hidden Leaf village not far away, and smiled. "Kisame, you really have a gentle heart hidden under your ferocious appearance. You were once born in the blood mist and had no choice. From now on, everything will be different." Quote. Hearing this, Kisame Kazaki showed a hint of embarrassment. Uchiha Itachi was very surprised when he saw Kisami's expression. After so many years together, this was the first time he saw Kisame show such an expression. "Let's go into the village." Yi Fan pointed at Konoha. "Ah, Mr. Yi Fan, is it really okay for Mr. Weasel and I to follow you into the village?" Kisame Kazaki hesitated for a moment, but finally asked what he was thinking. Uchiha Itachi has been thinking about this issue and is afraid of conflict with the people of Konoha Hidden Village. Yi Fan smiled and Kaido said, "You two can be considered my younger brothers. My younger brother and elder brother just go home. What's the matter? Moreover, the Konoha of today is no longer the Konoha of the past." After speaking, Yi Fan took the lead, followed by the two of them, with different expressions and complicated moods. On the walls of Konoha, there were many more people on duty today. Jiraiya said that people from the Akatsuki organization were targeting Konoha, and a big explosion occurred outside the hidden village of Konoha, which made all the ninjas of Konoha feel their hearts in their throats. In just a few days, too many things have happened in Konoha. Like a candle swaying in the wind, it can no longer withstand too many twists and turns. Everyone, cheer up, something serious happened outside the village last night, which may threaten the safety of the village. On the wall of Konoha, a Jonin shouted with a solemn expression. Yes, at a glance, hundreds of ninjas answered in unison. Although they all had a sleepless night, they still looked energetic. Among so many people, no one is lazy, they are all highly concentrated. Just because they all understand that the current situation is extremely serious and there must be no mistakes. Suddenly, a rapid shout rang out from the crowd. Captain, Captain, people from the Akatsuki organization appeared 800 meters outside the village. What, did you read that wrong? No, there is absolutely nothing wrong. The clothes they wear are exactly the same as what Jiraiya-sama described. And Uchiha Yi-fan seems to have been caught by them. When the captain heard this, he frowned and looked very ugly. He realized the seriousness of the matter. He really did whatever he was afraid of. Go and notify Jiraiya-sama immediately. You, hurry up and inform the third generation, Kakashi, Metkai and Asuma. Immediately, the captain shouted, everyone on alert, enter combat mode. Kakashi-senpai, Kakashi-senpai, are you at home? Kakashi had just settled down to sleep with Uchiha Sasuke when he heard a rapid knock on the door. Here we come. Kakashi opened the gate of opening and asked lazily, what's wrong? Did something happen? The ninja outside the door said anxiously, Kakashi-senpai, people from the Akatsuki organization are here. Huh, Kakashi's face suddenly darkened and he said, I know, I'll be there right away. The ninja nodded and then ran towards other places. For a time, such things were happening in many places in Konoha village. Konoha, which had not yet recovered from the last battle, was once again in a state of tension. Kakashi, what happened? Where are you going in a hurry? Uchiha Sasuke, who was woken up, asked. Oh, Sasuke, you're awake. How do your kidneys feel? Does it still hurt? You can go back to sleep. Someone from the Akatsuki organization is knocking on the door. I'll go take care of it. Kakashi lowered his head and continued to pack his things. In a few words, he picked up all the things he needed for daily missions. Shao, I'll go with you too. Uchiha Sasuke rolled over and got up, his cheek suddenly twitched, and he felt pain in his waist. The expression on his face was all in Kakashi's eyes. Kakashi didn't say much, but in his heart he was worried about Sasuke's physical condition. The two looked at each other and rushed towards the entrance of the village. Along the way, I met many acquaintances. Uchiha Sasuke looked at the large number of Jonin, all rushing in the same direction, and felt that this matter was not simple. Especially when he saw Naruto and Jiraiya, he became more and more sure of his idea. For some reason, he always felt uncomfortable when he saw Naruto and Jiraiya appearing together. Outside Konoha Hidden Village, Yi-fan and the others were only 200 or 300 meters away from the village entrance. Kisame Inigansaki looked at the large number of ninjas standing on the city wall in preparation, and sighed. Mr. Yi-fan, Mr. Weasel, this scene is pretty much what I imagined. Yi-fan smiled slightly. The reputation of your Akatsuki organization is rotten to the core. No matter which village you go to, you will probably be treated like this. Maybe some villages won't let you approach them at all, and someone will probably stop you 2 or 3 kilometers away. Quote. Yes, that is indeed the case. Uchiha Itachi said. Before he finished speaking, a shout came from Konoha Hidden Village. I'm giving you a serious warning now, don't go any further. If you dare to take another step forward, we will be rude to you. Hearing this, Uchiha Itachi and Kazaki Kisame stopped one after another and looked at Yi-fan. Now that they are all following Yi-fan, they naturally no longer do whatever they want like before. Yi-fan went back to Konoha for business again, which made the two of them even more afraid to act rashly. If there is a conflict with the people of Konoha and delays Yi-fan's work, the gain outweighs the loss. Mr. Yi-fan, what should we do now? Gansaki Kisame asked. Keep walking. Yi-fan put his hands in his pockets and replied calmly. It is forbidden for enemies to enter Konoha territory. On the city wall, the man saw that Uchiha Itachi and the others were still moving forward, and warned them again. But it's still useless. In this regard, Yi Fan did not speak. He knew that even if he spoke, the ninjas in Konoha would not believe him and would only think that he was threatened. Attack. Seeing that the warning was useless, the man immediately gave the order decisively. Just when everyone was about to launch an attack, Jiraiya's voice sounded. Stop. Immediately, Kakashi, Metkai, Yuhi Kurenai, and Asuma all arrived on the city wall. The ninja who gave the order quickly moved out of the way when he saw Jiraiya coming, and the others also stopped attacking. Uchiha Itachi, dried persimmon Kisame. Jiraiya's face became solemn after seeing the person clearly. Has Yi Fan been caught by them? It's really tricky. Pervy Sage, what did you say? Who is Uchiha Itachi? Naruto on the side quickly asked. He had already heard the name of Uchiha Itachi, the one Sasuke had always wanted to kill. Jiraiya ignored Naruto's question, but looked at Metkai and said, Kai, Naruto will be left to you. Metkai nodded, and they all thought that Uchiha Itachi and the others were here for Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Jiraiya-sama, don't worry, as long as I don't die, Naruto will be fine. Please. Jiraiya patted Metkai on the shoulder and jumped off the city wall without any hesitation. Upon seeing this, Naruto immediately wanted to follow, but was held back by Metkai. In the crowd, Uchiha Sasuke looked at Uchiha Itachi not far away, his pupils quickly enlarged, his eyes were as wide as copper bells, and his whole body was trembling. After many years, he once again saw this man who often appeared in his dreams, and his anger instantly overwhelmed him. Kakashi saw Uchiha Sasuke's extremely excited look, stretched out his palm to hold him down, and said, leave him to us. Immediately, he turned to Metkai and said, Kai, I leave it to you. After saying that, Kakashi, Asuma, Yuhi Kurenai and others followed. Outside Konoha Hidden Village, Jiraiya blocked Uchiha Itachi and the others, his body filled with cold murderous intent. Let go of Yi Fan. Seeing Jiraiya coming, Yi Fan smiled. He knew that in the entire Konoha village, only Jiraiya would believe what he said. Jiraiya, it's not what you think. They are no longer members of the Akatsuki organization. They are now my companions. Your companion. Jiraiya's heavy expression not only did not improve, but became even more gloomy. Yi Fan, are you threatened by them? Don't be afraid, as long as I'm here, they can't hurt you. Hearing this, Kisame Kazaki waved his hands and said with a smile on his face. Jiraiya-sama, we really didn't threaten Mr. Yi Fan. The key is that we can't threaten Mr. Yi Fan either. Along the way, Yi Fan mentioned that he had lived with Jiraiya, so now that Inukasaki Kisame saw Jiraiya, it also showed special respect, as long as he cut his head open and let Jiraiya see what he thought. Uchiha Itachi also added, Jiraiya-sama, it seems that you don't understand Mark's strength. With the strength of Kisame and I, we are far from his opponent. Quote. Jiraiya looked at the two people talking like this, and was a little unsure for a moment, and asked Yi Fan, they really didn't threaten you? No, I am a man who can defeat the entire ninja world. How could anyone coerce me? You brat, you scared me. Jiraiya punched Mark on the head. Uchiha Itachi and Mikigaki Kisame watched this scene, their mouth corners twitching. I am afraid that only Jiraiya in this world dares to do this to Mark. Kakashi and the others also gathered around. After Jiraiya explained, they still didn't believe it. It was only after Jiraiya confirmed that they agreed to let Uchiha Itachi and Mikigaki Kisame enter Konoha village. However, they still sent some people to follow them secretly. When entering Konoha, Uchiha Sasuke stared at Uchiha Itachi, and curse marks instantly covered his body. Hatred occupied all his consciousness, and the opportunity for revenge was right in front of him, and he did not want to miss this opportunity. Uchiha Itachi, take your life, Sasuke yelled, holding a ball of lightning in his hand, and ran towards Itachi. Now, he just wants to kill Uchiha Itachi. The reason why I have practiced so hard for so many years is just for this moment. Uchiha Sasuke put one hand on the city wall, and the lightning flashed. A pair of Magatama Sharingan exuded a blood-red aura, and its expression gradually became extremely ferocious. The hatred in his eyes was beating like a flame. Uchiha Itachi, suffer death. I, who bear the name of Uchiha, will take your life as a Chidori today." Uchiha Sasuke roared and ran quickly. Wherever his arms passed, a ravine 3 to 4 centimeters deep exploded. Uchiha Itachi looked at Sasuke, who was overwhelmed by hatred. He stood motionless on the spot with no wave on his face, quietly waiting for his attack. In one breath, Uchiha Sasuke, who was holding Chidori, rushed in front of Uchiha Itachi. Chidori was under control and went straight to Itachi's heart. Uchiha Itachi saw that after so many years, Sasuke was still the second Magatama Sharingan, and he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed in his heart. In order to make Uchiha Sasuke grow up faster, Itachi decided to teach him a lesson. "Chidori!" Uchiha Sasuke roared angrily, and the arm holding the lightning fell to about an inch in front of Itachi's chest. Looking at this scene, Uchiha Sasuke had a proud smile on his face. Victory was right in front of him. But, before he could be happy, Uchiha Itachi grabbed his arm, preventing him from moving any further. Then, Itachi broke Sasuke's arm with a little force. Ah! In an instant, tragic screams echoed at the entrance to the village of Konoha and lingered for a long time. After breaking Sasuke's right hand, Itachi's movements still didn't stop. With a flick of his palm, he grabbed Sasuke's other hand. Just like before, Itachi broke Sasuke's left hand. For a moment, a strong sense of pain spread throughout Sasuke's body, causing Sasuke to burst into tears. The two Magatama Sharingan also disappeared at this moment, turning into black pupils again. "My stupid brother, do you want to kill me? Then hate me, hate me." There was a faint flash of light in Uchiha Itachi's blood-red pupils, and Sasuke was hit by the pupil technique Tsukuyomi. In the Tsukuyomi world, Itachi asked Sasuke to review the events of the Night of Genocide. And this time, he asked Sasuke to review for 360 hours. Although the outside world said that only 2 or 3 seconds had passed, Sasuke actually stayed for 360 hours. During this period of time, the scene of the Night of Genocide will continue to replay in Sasuke's mind, making him immersed in it. Uchiha Sasuke, who was hit by Tsukuyomi, instantly collapsed to the ground as if his soul had been taken away, without any consciousness. All this happened in a flash of lightning. By the time the Major Jonin in Konoha reacted, Sasuke had already fallen to the ground and was unconscious. "Sasuke!" Kakashi shouted when he saw this, his face filled with disbelief. Then, glaring at Uchiha Itachi, he slowly revealed his Sharingan. "Uchiha Itachi, you really didn't have any good intentions when you came to Konoha this time." "Hatake Kakashi, long time no see." Uchiha Itachi completely ignored the threat in Kakashi's words. "In front of me, you hurt my disciple like this, do you think I'm just a decoration?" "Reikiri." Kakashi held a ball of lightning in his hand, which was larger and more powerful than Sasuke, and rushed towards Uchiha Itachi. In the blink of an eye, Kakashi was in front of Itachi. Itachi slowly stretched out his right hand and grabbed Kakashi's right hand just like he had grabbed Sasuke's hand. Konoha's powerful whirlwind. When Kakashi was in shock, Metkai's figure suddenly appeared. After spinning 360 degrees in the air, a fierce whip hit Uchiha Itachi. The moment he took off his legs, the powerful force stirred up a lot of dust. Facing Kai's powerful blow, Uchiha Itachi raised his other hand to block without looking back. After his legs came into contact with his arms, Kai immediately retracted his legs to distance himself from them. Feeling the bursts of pain in his legs, Metkai's face became extremely solemn. Uchiha Itachi seemed to be more powerful than he thought. Uchiha Itachi glanced at Kakashi, and with a wave of his hand, Kakashi was sent flying and thrown against the wall. "Kakashi, are you okay?" Metkai quickly ran over, helped up the pale Kakashi, and asked with concern. "I'm fine." Kakashi's eyes have always been fixed on Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi's strength was much stronger than when he met her. At first, physical skills were Itachi's shortcomings, but now it seems that Itachi's physical skills have become extremely good. Seeing this, Asuma threw away the cigarette in his mouth and took out his weapon. Yuhi Kurenai also followed, ready to activate Genjutsu to control Uchiha Itachi. Suddenly, more than a dozen Jonin gathered around. "Kakashi, I'm sorry, I just focused all my attention on Naruto, so I somewhat ignored Sasuke." Kai, now is not the time to talk about this. The top priority is to take down Uchiha Itachi first. Metkai nodded, slowly closed his eyes, clenched his fists and placed them in front of his head. 8 gates Dunjia, the first gate of opening, open, the second gate of healing, open, the third gate of life, the fourth gate of pain, the fifth gate of limit, the sixth gate of view, open. In an instant, green chakra wrapped Metkai's body, and a very terrifying aura enveloped the surroundings, making many weak people unable to breathe. As 8 gates Dunjia, this feeling of chakra, Uchiha Itachi turned to face Metkai and became very serious. The person in front of him made him feel very dangerous. Kisame Kazaki, who had been silent all this time, couldn't help but be surprised when he saw Metkai activate the 8 gates armor. For some reason, Kisame couldn't help but feel excited when he saw this man. Uchiha Itachi, you shouldn't hurt Sasuke, come on. Metkai roared and killed Weasel at an extremely fast speed, so fast that only some afterimages could be seen with the naked eye. A voice sounded, and Metkai stopped. Jiraiya-sama. Kai was a little confused as to why he wanted to stop him. It's all gone, Jiraiya whispered, and through the situation of Itachi's fight with them just now, he had already seen that Itachi had no intention of fighting them. Jiraiya-sama. This time it was not just Metkai who was puzzled, the rest of the ninjas were also puzzled. Stop fighting, Sarutobi Hiruzen also said. As Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke, Metkai dispersed the 8 gates Dunjia. The rest of the people also know that there may be some unknown things in this, and it is not as simple as it seems on the surface. Jiraiya, bring Mark and the others over here. I have already booked the room, Sarutobi Hiruzen said. Jiraiya nodded, signaling Uchiha and Itachi to follow Hiruzen Sarutobi. Before leaving, Uchiha Itachi apologized to Mark and said that he should not take action here. Yi Fan waved his hand, indicating that there was no problem. This small move caused an uproar. In an instant, the entrance to the village became extremely noisy. Everyone is discussing this matter. Holy crap, did you see it? Uchiha Itachi is actually apologizing to Mark. That's Uchiha Itachi. Oh my god, am I dreaming? Yi Fan actually made Uchiha Itachi apologize. Kakashi, Metkai and the others were a little confused for a while. They had no idea that Uchiha Itachi would do such a thing. For a moment, everyone was speculating on what method Yi Fan used to treat Uchiha Itachi so docilely. Sasuke, who had just woken up from the torture, happened to see this scene, and the anger in his heart once again broke through the sky. Uchiha Itachi, you are a heinous traitor, and you actually apologized to the plague god of the Uchiha clan. When Uchiha Itachi heard this, he frowned and immediately set off towards Sasuke. Suddenly, Mark's hand grabbed Itachi's shoulder and whispered, Itachi, let me do it this time. Uchiha Itachi, who was grabbed by Yi Fan's shoulders, trembled, and a trace of undetectable worry flashed across his face. When Sasuke cursed those words, Itachi was very afraid that those words would completely anger Mark. So I wanted to teach Sasuke a lesson as soon as possible and vent his anger on Mark so that he would not be so angry. However, the sudden hand on his shoulder let him know that the matter might not be that simple. For a moment, Uchiha Itachi's heart was in his throat. Although he remained calm on the surface, his spirit was extremely tense. He has personally experienced Yi Fan's strength and knows firsthand how abnormal he is. If Mark were really allowed to take action, I'm afraid he could crush Sasuke to death 100 times with just one little finger. Uchiha Itachi, it seems that you have really become the dog of the plague god Yi Fan. You look like such a well-behaved dog. You are not worthy of being a member of my Uchiha clan. If I were you, I would choose to kill Yi Fan, the god of plague, instead of being a submissive dog. When Uchiha Sasuke saw Mark's very casual action, Uchiha Itachi stood motionless, furious, and shouted hysterically. In his heart, although Uchiha Itachi is a complete fool, he also has his own dignity. But now, it has become like this, which makes him even more unacceptable. This feeling was comparable to the scene when he witnessed the night of genocide with his own eyes. Uchiha Itachi, how does it feel to be the dog of the plague god? Do you feel like you have become the plague god? Do you feel like you have become the god of plague that killed your parents? Uchiha Sasuke's facial features became extremely ferocious, resembling a madman. The black color and pupils also turned into blood red at this moment. The extremely strong anger was stimulating his brain crazily. The second Magatama Sharingan also turned into the third Magatama Sharingan at this moment. Looking at all this, Itachi, who had always hoped that Sasuke could become stronger, was not happy at all at this time. Instead, he was furious. At this moment, he really wanted Sasuke to shut up. Especially when Uchiha Sasuke said that Ye-fan killed his parents, Itachi wanted to go up and beat Sasuke. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not break free from Mark's hand. The hand that didn't look too big was like a layer of shackles, completely restraining him, unable to move or say a word. Ye-fan looked at Uchiha Sasuke, who was still talking trash, and felt Uchiha Itachi, who was trembling slightly all over his body, and the light in his eyes gradually became cold. Itachi, you don't have to worry. Hatred can give Sharingan more power. I will make Sasuke hate me. Ye-fan's whisper sounded in Uchiha Itachi's ears, and Itachi instantly had an ominous premonition in his heart. This stupid brother of mine will not be able to eat anything this time, and walk away. Sure enough, the moment this idea came up, all the pressure on him disappeared. And Ye-fan's figure has already appeared in front of Uchiha Sasuke. I saw that Ye-fan quickly raised his right hand and aimed a big dick at Sasuke's face. Snapped. There was a crisp sound, and Uchiha Sasuke's body flew into the air and smashed through a wall. The snow-white teeth, stained with scarlet blood, drew arcs in the air and fell into the soil. Uchiha Itachi looked at this scene. His head was buzzing, he was heartbroken, and he cursed in his heart. My stupid brother, no matter who you mess with, you want to mess with Ye-fan. If you say anything bad, you want to mention Ye-fan's parents. It's so stupid, so stupid, so stupid. Uchiha Itachi stood motionless on the spot. All he could see was Sasuke being spanked one after another, and all he could hear was Sasuke's wails. A genius boy from the Uchiha clan, right? A genius boy who bears the name of Uchiha, right? I'll make you a genius. I'll make you whim. I'll make you talk nonsense with your mouth open. Every time Mark said a word, a big dick fell on Sasuke's face. In just the blink of an eye, Uchiha Sasuke's face swelled into a pig's head, and all his facial features were squeezed together. If Uchiha Itachi hadn't seen him look like this with his own eyes, he would never know who he was even if he met him on the street. After being slapped in the pockets of dozens of big dicks, Uchiha Sasuke completely lost his appearance. Nosebleeds were everywhere, and not a single tooth was left. Even the two wisdom teeth hidden under the roots of the teeth were knocked out by Ye-fan's big dick pocket. The pair of Sharingans that he was so proud of were now squeezed into a crack by his swollen face, and nothing could be seen. Ooh, tears kept flowing from the slits of his eyes, and he let out bursts of sobs. Another big dick was pulled up, and Uchiha Sasuke's mouth was twisted by this powerful force. This time, Uchiha Sasuke couldn't even make the most basic sobs. All this happened in an instant, and only Uchiha Itachi, who had turned on the Mangekyo Sharingan, could barely see it clearly. As for the others, by the time they reacted, Uchiha Sasuke was already lying on the ground motionless like a dead dog. When Kakashi saw Sasuke in such a miserable state, his pupils shrank sharply and he roared, "Stop! Stop fighting!" While talking, Kakashi went up to help. However, it was Uchiha Itachi who stopped him. Uchiha Itachi is worried that if Kakashi goes up to disturb Ye-fan, Ye-fan will be even more angry. In that case, my stupid brother might suffer even more. Uchiha Itachi, get out of the way. Kakashi roared angrily and whipped his leg towards Itachi. Uchiha Itachi glanced at Sasuke out of the corner of his eye, and then at Kakashi who was attacking him. His eyes darkened, then opened sharply. Kakashi instantly fell into the world of Tsukuyomi. Kakashi, trapped in the world of Tsukuyomi, looked helplessly at countless knives, stabbing his heart, feeling a pain he had never felt before. Ye-fan, stop fighting. Ye-fan, if you continue to fight, Sasuke will die. When Metkai and the others saw this, they shouted hurriedly. Brother Ye-fan, please spare Sasuke. As Naruto spoke, Ye-fan stopped. As for Sarutobi Hiruzen and Jiraiya, they didn't say a word the whole time. Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that he was not qualified to speak to dissuade him, while Jiraiya knew that Mark would not kill Sasuke, at most he would give him an unforgettable lesson. Ye-fan stopped, kicked Sasuke and hit him against the wall. He wiped the blood on his hands and said to him, "The water is deep and the wind is strong. If you don't have the strength, you should talk less. The knife is not sharp and the horse is too thin, so what can you use to fight me?" Immediately, Yi Fan pinched Sasuke's neck and said harshly, "You have your story, and I have my background. It's not very tough, but don't touch it." As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Fan took Uchiha Itachi and Kazaki Kisame and left with Jiraiya in front of everyone's astonished eyes. Uchiha Sasuke, with a bruised nose, swollen face and crooked mouth, was left messy in the wind. Naruto trotted up to Sasuke, took one look at him and was stunned for a moment. Then he said, "Sasuke, I told you a long time ago that Brother Yi Fan is not the god of plague, but you still insist on saying it. Now you know the color of fire. Oh, be careful next time." After finishing speaking, Naruto ran towards Yi Fan and the others. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.